This episode of the Busted Wide Open podcast is brought to you by Blueberry. Blueberry offers the best media hosting, accurate listening stats, and their all-new PowerPress Deluxe sites, a no-setup WordPress website for your podcast with all the necessary links to share your show with the world built right in. If you currently produce a podcast and are looking for a better host, or if you're looking to start a new one from scratch, head over to orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO and sign up for the best media hosting and a PowerPress Deluxe site to get your first month absolutely free. That's orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO, or just use the promo code BWO at checkout for your first month absolutely free. And now, enjoy the show.
Hello, this is the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels, and you can't tell, but right now I'm dressed as Deacon and not the Fallen Angel because I'm at Waterworld, and you are listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast because there's degrees. There's a little bit busted open, but this is Busted Wide Open. You're listening to us, so thanks for listening.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. Welcome back to the Busted Wide Open podcast, but if this is your first time joining the show, I'd like to welcome you to episode number 230. My name is Nick Howell.
And out of breath from running 101 yards to do a clothesline just to beat the world record for longest delivered lariat set by Hangman Page, I am Sir Ian Dangerous, and welcome to the show today. And Nick, oh my goodness, do we have a day today? We've got this show right here. It is a day of days. It is a day. We got, it's a busy one, man. We've got to talk about NXT, which had a great show this week. We got to talk about Smackdown, WWE Smackdown. We have to talk about AEW Dynamite, because right after this show, Nick, we're going to be doing our mailbag episode, and then right after that, it's Double or Nothing.
And then right after that,
we're going to do a recap episode about Double or Nothing. So we've got quite a day for you guys today, and as we said, this show is going to be quite an extensive one as well. So,
yes.
So sit back, get comfy, because we've got a lot of graps to talk about. But first, we do have to do some housekeeping, Nick, and then we can get into the show.
Yes, guys, come over and join us on Facebook. Just search for Busted Wide Open. Like our page. Send us a join request to get into the group with the rest of the phenomenal ones, our lovely patrons. Get some good news stories, some fun memes, all kinds of good stuff. And you'll find links to our Discord server for live chats all throughout the week. Make sure you're into our Discord. All these links also on YouTube in the description down below. You can follow us over on Twitter and Instagram at BWO Podcast. Subscribe to our channel here at youtube.com/bustedwideopen, where we stream live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific, and every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. But we got some news on that in just a second.
Ooh.
Make sure you subscribe and get your notifications turned on, because I've been teasing this. I've been telling you guys to hit those notifications for a while, because it's coming. Last but certainly not least, thank you to all of our patrons, all of our lovely, phenomenal ones, for all you do every single month to help keep and support this show, to keep us going, I should say, and support this show. And if you'd like to get in on some of those exclusive rewards, that is the best way to support the show at patreon.com/BWO. Sign up for one of those awesome reward tiers where you can get access to copies of the show notes, the ability to ask listener questions and play in our patron pick'ems challenges 4 times a year, and get bonus episodes, Skype calls, producer segments, all kinds of stuff over at patreon.com/BWO. I've got one other piece of news that I need to add to the housekeeping from this point forward.
Yes.
And that is, starting Monday, Busted Wide Open is introducing BWO Daily.
Yes.
Where we will do a daily show targeted in the evenings so that we can collect the day's news and present it to you in a fast 10-minute-ish. Some days it'll be 2 minutes, some days it might be 20, but we're targeting that 10. You guys know how we like to talk, but BWO Daily is upon us. We're starting on, it's going to be a Monday through Friday show, about 10-minute segments exclusively available on the YouTube channel right here. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you got those notifications turned on. We will be doing those every single day, Monday through Friday going forward.
And it's basically going to be, we're going to be taking the other news segment out of the end. We're not going to try to stuff that in the end and do all that right at the end of the shows. We're going to be doing that Monday through Friday. So yeah, if you wonder where the other news segment went, Well, it went over to YouTube and became Busted Wide Open Daily.
Yes.
BWD. Yes.
So make sure you subscribe, guys. Make sure you got those notifications set to on all, I think is the setting you want to be on there, because that way you'll get a push notification every time we put up a new video and whenever we go live, so you don't miss it. So you can join us right here on YouTube. But it's time to go home to Double or Nothing. That means we've got to head over and talk about All Elite Wrestling.
So, Nick, we woke up this morning with actually some pretty sad news from two fronts. One from Japan, and we'll get into that at the end of the show in our news segment, because that's a really heavy one.
Yeah.
And I have a lot to say about that. But the other heavy news was we've got some injuries in AEW that are going to be keeping people out of Double or Nothing. So we're going to address that as we go through the show, because I had to quickly redo the notes here before we jumped on air. But let's start at the main event of the show, which was Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara. Obviously, Matt looking for revenge after they killed Vanguard 1 last week. Jericho beat the poor little drone to death with his friend Floyd, the baseball bat. But they let Matt and Sammy have a full-on match. They had a full-on match. This was
better than I honestly expected it would be.
I was shocked at how good this match was. This was really freaking good. I was sitting there thinking a lot of things about Matt Hardy being in WWE, and just looking at the same guy. He's the same guy he was 4 months ago, the same abilities, working with a guy who also, is allowed to kind of do whatever he wants now and get creative. And Sammy Guevara did so much work for Matt Hardy in this match, as far as, feeding for him and selling for him and everything else. And really, Sammy did some fantastic work in this match. And if you're not a Sammy Guevara fan, or, obviously besides his heel work, if you think that he's not good, go watch this match. Sammy, this is exactly what you want out of someone of his age and abilities if you're someone like Matt Hardy.
Right.
It was great on both fronts. They told a great story. And at the end of the day, there was a lot of fun little spots too. So, and
I was going to ask, what part of great storytelling involved removing Sammy's wrestling boots and biting his toes?
You've never seen Matt Hardy do that before?
No.
Oh, well.
Of course I have. Yes. The point is we're trying to build to a match here, a first ever Stadium Stampede match. Do you feel like removing his wrestling boots and biting his toes is the right way to go about that? Or are we just trying to show that broken Matt Hardy, is so broken that he's willing to eat people's feet to get some sort of psychological advantage over the Inner Circle heading into this Stadium Stampede match?
I mean, that would mess up my game plan.
Seriously.
This man's willing to bite my toes off.
It doesn't really hurt, but that's just weird, man.
Oh, it doesn't feel good.
No.
Doesn't feel good. But yeah, so anyway, I hope he's got some antifungals to take, because who knows what's in his mouth now. But the thing is this match ended, Matt Hardy picks up the victory, and then looks up on the screen, and the Inner Circle have Kenny Omega trapped against a goalpost out on the field. The nearby field, of course, because we're doing this at an adjacent venue. And they're saying, "Oh, look at your little buddy. What are you going to do? We're gonna beat him up to make it so he can't work this match by the time you get here." So Matt Hardy starts hustling to the stadium, but of course Matt Hardy is, he's 40-something. His hips don't work so good anymore, so he's kind of trundling over there. But luckily, who should appear in the stands magically out of nowhere but the Young Bucks?
They're back.
They're back. The Young Bucks are back. They somehow flew in from where was Pacoima, that they live in Southern California, Rancho Cucamonga.
Yeah.
But they showed up, and they immediately dove into the Inner Circle and started fighting to help poor Kenny Omega. But they were still outnumbered. Even when Matt Hardy showed up, they were getting overwhelmed. When who should show up but running all the way down the field to deliver a lariat to Jake Hager, Hangman Page, in his cowboy boots, 100-yard dash in cowboy boots, by the way, shows up. So we have a big old brawl on the football field, and Young Bucks and the Elite stand tall. Hangman kind of gruffly walks up. Yeah, I was here for you guys. And he walks away to do his own thing. And then they pose as the camera kind of pulls out the wire cam that Vince McMahon invented, pulls out, and they're all standing there posing at the end of the field. The Young Bucks do their pose. And so that was the build to the Stadium Stampede match, Nick. What do you Are you now excited for the Stadium Stampede match, or is it not going to be able to hold up to the kind of insanity that we've seen from Inner Circle and Elite over the last few weeks?
I'm not really sure what to expect. The only thing that I've heard logistics-wise about the match is that there is going to be a ring in the middle of the field on the 50-yard line of Jaguar Stadium. Right? That's the extent of what I know. It's no DQ. I don't know if it's falls count anywhere. Does it have to be a pin or submission in the ring to finish the match? I really don't know what to expect, but you know what? I'm going to have a big-ass bag of popcorn, and I'm going to enjoy the hell out of it just watching these 10 or so guys just go at each other for what will probably end up being an hour-long fracas. I can't imagine this being anything less as much as they've tried to build this up. And it's the Elite, and it's the Inner Circle. The collective on these two teams might be just it's a who's who of professional wrestling in 2020.
Well, it's certainly a bunch of talented, creative guys, and they're just going and getting creative as they want. From what I've seen, the setup is literally a wrestling ring at the 50-yard line in the stadium.
That's all I know. I have no idea what to expect.
Yeah, I'm
here for it.
They filmed it last night apparently, and everyone's very excited about it from what I hear. So
good.
Looking forward to it. I guess the only thing I have to wonder is what's the deal with Hangman's character? Is he coming across as dickish still, or what's happening there with him still kind of being standoffish? I don't know. You'd think they'd have figured this out by now in kayfabe, whatever.
By the way, I don't remember who it was. Whoever made the Monty Python reference about him running all the way across the field. Like you could see like this little sliver of like a blurred human on the horizon, and then it just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and bang, clothesline.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
It was awesome.
Also awesome, the women's tag match. We had Nyla Rose and Britt Baker versus Chris Statlander and Hikaru Shida. Shida, of course, being the number one contender to Nyla Rose's women's championship. And this was actually a really well-worked, fantastic match, and it shows how much the women's division has grown, even if you just take these four women.
Yeah.
How much it's grown and gotten better. The downside was, at one point, Shida and Statlander picked up Nyla Rose and slung her over their shoulders and then basically just kind of bombed her onto Britt Baker, who was lying in the corner. Well, Nyla came down on Britt's knee, and Britt immediately, you could tell something was wrong, and she didn't work. She did a couple of quick spots, and they were trying to improv with her, and then they eventually got her over to the corner, and she didn't work the rest of the match.
Yeah.
So there's
you
injury.
You can see the medical professional pulling her out of the corner. Ring corner.
Yeah, Doc Sampson was checking her on her for the rest of the match.
Yeah.
And this is our second. This brings us to our second injury. The first was Matt Jackson, when he apparently somewhere early on in the little brawl on the field, he landed weird on his rib. So now his rib is jacked, which is weird because he's so used to selling his back. I don't know how he's going to sell something different. Right. But apparently he's banged up but okay. You could actually see him selling it at the very end of the show. But probably not selling it, probably actually just, genuinely feeling it. But this is one that's actually very serious. Apparently Britt Baker has not been cleared to wrestle for tonight, and she will be replaced by Penelope Ford in a match against Chris Statlander.
And I'm not mad at that, if I'm being completely honest.
No, better. I mean, don't mess with a knee. We haven't heard what exactly is up with her knee, how bad it is. Yeah, obviously, the knee can be very scary. I really hope it's not something that takes her out of action for a long time, because she was really on a roll there in a lot of ways, and that's it's a tragedy that she's not going to be able to work the match of the pay-per-view. Penelope Ford, is that a good replacement for her against Statlander?
Totally.
Statlander
was going to win either way, in my opinion.
Maybe not. If she wasn't before, I think she's going to now. But the fact of the matter is that, I feel bad for Britt, and some people are taking it out on the other girls and saying that was an unsafe move. Do you feel that was unsafe, or was this just a freak accident?
I mean, anytime you take a big person like that and throw it onto a tiny person, there's a risk of injury. We've seen this happen how many times with Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss, And I'm not going to compare Nyla to Nia, but what I'm saying is that size matters. Anyway, I'll let that one hang there. The point being is that when Nia Jax puts Alexa Bliss up on her shoulders, climbs up to the second rope, and does a Samoan drop down to it's a tiny little 100-pound, 5'0" Alexa Bliss, right? Even though she's kind of jacked, she's still tiny little Alexa Bliss. When you take tiny little Britt Baker and you take 2 other women and throw another giant woman on top of her, gravity takes over, and her weight is multiplied by 9.8. So now you're
What?
right. This is new math, right? It's physics.
Steiner math.
This is not
It's
Steiner
mixed
math.
Steiner math.
It's
Oh, my
gravity,
goodness.
right? You take the gravity plus the weight of the person, and that
gravity
is
plus the weight
now
of
the
the
weight that's
person.
landing on Britt Baker's knee.
13.5% extra weight lands on her.
Take
and
a
it spells
take a-
disaster for her at Double or Nothing.
Take a can of soda or something that weighs about a pound and hold it about 3 feet in the air and drop it on your knee and see how good it feels. Now do that times about 200.
It is 9.8 times what it normally weighs by the time it hits your knee because it reaches terminal velocity. That's not how it works. But
Not terminal velocity. Jeez.
you know,
Okay.
the point is, dude, is that, it's wrestling, and there's lots of times where people do things that might be dangerous, but normally it's going to be fine. And the same thing happened with the other injury on the show, which we'll get to in a little bit, where it was a move that, while you don't see it very often, it didn't work out the way it was supposed to. People weren't in the right place,
Right.
and it didn't work out. That's essentially what I saw here. Was they did a move, basically just kind of a assisted cannonball on Nyla Rose, and Britt's leg just happened to be in the wrong place and turned the wrong way. I don't blame anybody here, and I don't think you can.
Maybe don't weaponize Nyla Rose. That's just what I'm saying.
Okay. I still don't think it's nobody's. I don't think it's anybody's fault. It just happened, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But again, we're getting Penelope instead in the match against Chris Statlander. So, best wishes to Britt Baker. Hope she is okay, and it's not something too serious. Something that I'm not gonna lie, Nick, I'm not as okay with is the portrayal of the Dark Order. So let's talk about what should be the main event, which is our title match. The AEW title match between Jon Moxley and Brody Lee, Mr. Brody, excuse me, which opened the show. But honestly, after the show was done, it felt like the 3rd or 4th most important match on the card.
I want to like this, and I don't.
Good. Yeah. So we've got Brody Lee out the top of the show saying to the people at home, my eyes to your eyes. That if you want to join the Dark Order, you can stop losing and stop being a loser and join us, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then he's got number 10 sitting, kneeling next to him. He yells at him for kneeling wrong first, but he says, "I'm making you a knight of the Dark Order. You're going to go out and hurt Jon Moxley before my match, and then because my men need to believe in me, I've got to portray the same. I say all these things to my men. I've got to actually back that up. I'm going to go beat Moxley at Double or Nothing," which really puts him in kind of a bind, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So out goes 10, who, it's funny. I've seen Preston Vance in like indie shows, and he seems like a big guy. Next to Brody Lee, he looks tiny. Next to Jon Moxley, he does not look as big as one would think he is, and he got his ass royally handed to him by Jon Moxley. It's not a squash, but it was damn close to a squash.
Yeah.
And it's, I'm not going to lie. Before I get into my other complaints or critiques, here's an opportunity at a point where some of your members of Dark Order are stuck in Canada, and you've got a limited amount of guys to work with, and you want to make them look like a threat, or you want to make us intimidated by them or feel like they're a force to be reckoned with, or that we should be worried about our champ. And then our champ comes out and beats their top guy.
You're right.
Not just beats him, but afterwards puts his arm in a chair and then tells Brody, Mr. Brody, bring out my belt that you stole, or else I'm going to break his arm. And Brody goes, well, sometimes you got to make sacrifices. I'm walking away. And Moxley goes, cool.
We're the Dark Order. We're into sacrificing shit.
Yeah, right. And so he breaks his arm, and that's that. That's the whole thing. This didn't make me feel like Brody Lee was more of a threat to Jon Moxley. No. This didn't make me feel like the Dark Order was a threat to Jon Moxley. It didn't make me feel like the Dark Order was a well-run organization. It made me wonder why people worked for this guy. It made me wonder how long it's going to be before these people rebel against Mr. Brody. It was the whole thing left me scratching my head, Nick, because this is not how you build a strong, scary faction, and it's not how you put your champ at risk. Yeah. So I don't understand what the logic was here.
No, I don't either. But I got to jump in on you and call out a couple of super chats because they're blowing them up. First off, Esme with the 99-cent and the $2 super chat said, BWO Daily, let it begin, way back at the beginning of the show. Thank you, Esme. And Michael Miller, how you doing, Mr. Miller? $49.99 in the super chat says, one double or nothing on me tonight, gents. Thanks for the endless entertainment. Thank you.
Thank you
Michael
so
Miller.
much, man.
Really appreciate that. Thank you.
Very, very kind
Looking
of you.
forward to a long night. Long night of the wrestling tonight, for sure.
Long day, long night. And
my
good.
My take on this is that I like Moxley and his dedication to violence. He is Moxley. And even a backstage segment he had says ultimately everything leads to violence, one way or another. And I like this. He's very one-sided. He's got one motivation, just wants to whip everybody's ass. On the other hand, I 100% agree with you. I don't buy Dark Order as a threat. I don't buy Brody Lee as a threat. They've completely screwed this whole thing up. Like I've been saying from the beginning, we all thought beginning of the year. Come with me, guys. We all thought it was going to be Matt Hardy that was going to come out as the Exalted One.
We did not all.
I was
think
riding that train off the cliff. Okay,
you thought that.
Yeah, well, most of us were
we
like,
all,
"Oh my
the voices
God,
in your
Broken
head.
Matt Hardy is the Exalted One." Yes.
All the little like Nick booking voices in your head underneath your tinfoil hat thought that it was going to be Matt Hardy.
And then Brody Lee comes out and has that in the tunnel with smoke, and it's like, yes, okay, yes, you're going to get it right. And since then, it's been a mafia parody. He might as well be Brody Soprano, it just feels silly and dumb and WWE. And I'm sorry, I want better than that.
And it's not even that it's WWE so much as it's just not, it's not accomplishing what it needs to accomplish to be effective in the storylines and in the feuds that it's in. And it hasn't been since the beginning. Like they've been either presented as world enders or as absolute jobbers. And there's almost no middle ground, and they kind of have to be more on the world ender side of things, even if you can outwit them or escape them. For us to give a crap about this faction, if you have a faction of this size that's full of minions, there's no reason why they shouldn't be running the place.
Right.
Except you're making all of the minions look like absolute goons, except for a couple of small instances. They never run in a pack, which makes no freaking sense. You've got a pack of wolves. Send them out. Why are you having lone wolf moments like 10 here or like any other time that they've been out there? Just two guys, and the rest of them are hanging back going, well, I guess we're going to go by the rules of this match. Their whole thing is be a winner, don't be a loser, but yet they all still lose. And I don't know if they're trying to do some sort of thing where they're exposing the hypocrisy of the cult, but it makes them look stupid. And that's the thing. I want this to work because it's a good idea. Brody's a great performer. Preston's a good performer. Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, like a lot of the other guys playing the mask guys, they're good performers. The story just needs to back them up, and it's not right now. Even if you have the Mr. McMahon, Tony Soprano parody that Brody Lee's doing right now, you can have that. You just need to have them either win or look intimidating, and they didn't here, and that's
they're doing
why
neither.
That's why the match doesn't feel important.
And you're making Moxley do heely dickish shit as a face champion, and he's breaking people's arms. Like you can get away with it because it's Moxley and because violence, and that's his MO.
And Dark Order, they're so bad and so evil, and Moxley's just such a rebel. But no, you're right. Like it's not making him look good. And here's the thing: they've booked themselves into the corner that if Brody wins tonight, Moxley looks like a chump.
Yep.
If Moxley wins, Brody looks like a huge chump, and so does everybody else who follows Dark Order. Yep. So it's and it didn't have to be this way.
Nope.
So hopefully they pull something out of their hat. They've got a twist or something, because right now that train, as you already used that metaphor, that train's heading right towards the cliff right now.
Yep.
So we mentioned that there was another avoidable injury in the show. And sadly, it happened at the end of a match between Phoenix and Orange Cassidy, stemming from a match stemming from the fact that Phoenix kicked the absolute head off of Orange Cassidy last week. Came out of nowhere. You had Pac cutting a promo in some, skeezy loft in Newcastle, showing that clip of Orange Cassidy getting kicked in the head repeatedly behind him, basically saying, hey, I'm sending out my assassin Phoenix to do the dark triangles or the death triangles, dirty work. Phoenix is going to take out Orange Cassidy, and then he's going to win the ladder match. Well, as we know now, half of that was true.
Yep.
Phoenix ends up sneaking out a win over Orange Cassidy when Kip Sabian comes out, climbs a ladder, and distracts him. I will say this. This was not a match where he had a whole lot of Orange Cassidy comedy. There's a couple of funny bits that played to his character, but this was Orange Cassidy wrestling. The dude wrestled for 15 minutes. Straight up wrestled.
Loved it.
So if you don't think Orange Cassidy can wrestle, this was your match. Yep. Go check this out, because
there's a lot of great supercut highlight reels of his career as well. He's been doing it a long time. His timing is brilliant. I loved that this week when he came out first, Phoenix tried to come in again from the side, and he just kind of smoothly ducked and walked down the ramp as if nothing fazed him. And that's the brilliance of his character, is that he can still make everybody else look good, but he can still maintain that sort of smooth operator vibe to him. And then when he goes, it's like lightning. And him in the ring with Phoenix is absurd.
Oh, it was beautiful, and it was a fantastic match. But as we mentioned, it ended up with people coming out. First Kip Sabian, and then the Best Friends, and then pretty much everyone else who was in the ladder match, and then some. SCU. And unfortunately, at a certain point, Phoenix tried to do a springboard off the top rope to the outside, and the four guys who were out there just didn't catch him.
Nope.
They thought he was going to go farther. They didn't come forward. They caught his feet, but then his back and hip came down on the ground from 10, 15 feet in the air.
I hear it's a coccyx tailbone injury that he's got.
Did not look fun at all.
You don't recover from those quickly either. So.
No, he broke his butt.
His tailbone.
And so he's not happy right now, and he will unfortunately be out of Double or Nothing. However, they did trade in Joey Janela. So Joey Janela
not mad at that. I want to be clear.
And that's the thing. I feel awful for Phoenix.
Yeah.
He would have been amazing in this match. But Joey Janela in a cluster F ladder match is not a bad thing either. We gonna be just fine.
Yeah.
But it is too bad, and hopefully recover quickly, Phoenix, because that's such a bummer, man. I know a lot of people want to throw blame around and say they shouldn't have been doing these crazy moves the day before a pay-per-view or the week before a payper-view. Where are you on that? Should Phoenix have toned this down, because they were going? There was a lot of guys just going on this show, and I
want to make sure I don't have a double standard when I answer this, because we were pretty hard on the Smackdown crew for blowing their wad before Money in the Bank a couple weeks ago.
But that wasn't physically blowing their wad. They weren't going and doing big spots.
Well, they had an 8-man tag, which kind of that's a lot of stuff going on, which you were trying to set up for a fatal 4-way tag match. So I want to make sure I don't have a double standard here. Should they have gone that hard? I don't know. I don't feel like they were going that hard. That's just their gear. You get Cassidy and Phoenix in there, and they're just going to go at that pace.
But that match wasn't dangerous. You know what I mean?
No,
they mostly did some pretty safe spots.
They
was exciting.
Botched the catch. They botched the catch outside. That's all it was.
But should Phoenix have got... I know they're trying to make the excitement for the match and say, look, what the crazy kind of stuff that's going to happen in this ladder match. And hindsight's 20/20. If they all catch him, we just say, what an exciting spot, and move on.
Yeah, you're right.
So that's kind of what I'm getting to, is I can't really be mad at these guys for wanting to create big moments in this particular match, which was supposed to be the heater. It's supposed to heat up. It makes people want to watch the match tonight. So I can't be mad at him for wanting to go do a big spot. It just was the guys outside were in the wrong place. Phoenix's flip was a bit short, people didn't correct, and accidents happen.
Yeah.
But really the only person really suffering from it is Phoenix. He doesn't get the pay-per-view money, and he's got the busted butt right now, the busted coccyx. So he's the one who's ultimately at the end of this, the one who's suffering.
So what do we know about Pentagon? Quick sidebar here.
He's stuck in Mexico.
A lot of
AAA guys, and him and Jack Evans, at least from AEW. Yeah, a bunch of people are stuck in Mexico. He's one of them. So that's where he's at.
All right. In my heart of hearts, I have wanted to see a Pentagon singles run the likes we haven't seen since the first season.
Dude, don't get me started
Lucha,
on Pentagon. Don't get me started. Don't get me started on what they're doing with Pentagon. That's one of my big critiques of AEW right now.
Yeah,
is squandering some of their talent. But neither here nor there. I believe in their big picture. We'll talk about that another time because we got to talk about MJF.
Well, you just brought up a good point. One quick thing. I did attend the AEW press briefing pre-Double or Nothing with Cody because we're on the press list.
Yay!
So I got an invite to that. And one little nugget as we go through Dynamite and we talk about Double or Nothing, we're going to do our pick'ems here in a few minutes. Cody said that 90% of the card for Double or Nothing had already been planned, or 90% of the card you're going to see tonight was already planned and booked before the pandemic outbreak and lockdown orders and all of that stuff. And I'm like, wow, okay, so they really do. That's at least 3 months out.
Yeah.
So they really do have
erase
this booked
that
out.
from my news segment there, Nick. Thank you.
Well, yeah.
No, it's okay. It was relevant now. Yeah, no,
yes.
they were. This was a lot of this was part of the plan.
Yeah.
So they did a pretty good job of keeping everything on the rails. But as I was saying, MJF had a match with Marco Stunt as a way to piss people off before his match with Jungle Boy tonight at Double or Nothing. And it was a humiliation. Marco ended up getting some moves in. It wasn't a quick match. They had some back and forth. But it was mostly MJF just tormenting Marco Stunt. And at the end saying, I wanted to get one of my rats from here in Florida to give you a kiss, but no one's going to kiss you, so just kiss my ring instead. And he hits him in the face. And out come Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy to chase off MJF and Wardlow. I don't know. How do you feel about Marco Stunt on this I can do it by myself tour, which is what he's kind of been on for the last couple of months, which is going out there and getting murdered by people to try and prove that he can do it alone.
I love it.
It's getting long in the tooth for me. And I thought this match with MJF, with MJF also overstayed its welcome a little bit. It stretched credulity at a few points.
Why did we love Otis and Mandy? Because it was organic. There was this underdog. He was never going to get the chance, all of that kind of stuff. And we look at something like a Marco Stunt, who's a little guy. He's an underdog. He's never going to get the big chances, all of those kinds of things. There's an organic nature of that babyface underdog that we all want to get behind. And that's where I look at this. Now, is it getting a little bit long-winded?
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not sure if he's being used as a little guy to get squashed by Lance Archer, etc., or if he's being used to set up something else. And what I think it is it's setting up other stuff. It's setting up MJF and Jungle Boy, and it's setting up Luchasaurus and Wardlow. And in that context, I am perfectly okay with it. He is the sacrificial lamb of sorts to set up two really big matches that we all want to see. So I'm not mad at it. It's staging grounds for the next big things. MJF might be...
I understand practically why it exists.
I'm
saying it's getting a little bit long in the tooth. They've got to find another layer of it, or at some point they've got to do more with Marco than this. And they have done in the past. It's just right now, it just feels like it feels like a bit of a rut. And I'm nitpicking.
Yeah.
I want to make it clear. I know I'm nitpicking. I had no fundamental problem with this. It's just I'm sitting here going, couldn't we be doing more? I'm watching MJF beat down Marco. Haven't I seen this before? A lot.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with it. It's just let's talk about Arn Anderson and Jake the Snake Roberts.
All right.
They had a face off.
My nostalgia is tingling.
Arn Anderson had goosebumps. I had goosebumps. Jake is cold as a snake, so of course he felt nothing. But the rest of us all saw this and were like, oh my God, Arn Anderson and Jake the Snake Roberts across from each other at a 10-foot table so they can't be close.
Right.
Promoing at each other.
What?
You can tell that the years had gotten to them a little bit. They were stumbling over each other, trying to get words in edgewise, but damn, they both still got that promo fire.
Yeah. And then Jake stood up and yanks the table out of the way, and I literally stood up kicking my chair out going, oh my God, they're going to go!
Did you actually think they were going to get physical?
Yes! For a second there, I thought...
What are you talking about?
He's been doing DDP yoga and shit, man. You know how powerful... That stuff makes you powerful.
Well, before he couldn't walk. Now he can walk. That's how far he's gotten on DDP. Okay, we're glad Jake can walk.
Right.
Did you watch the Rise and Fall of Jake the Snake Roberts? Dude could not walk.
Right. But I stood up and I was going, oh my God.
Scott Hall
We're
was
going.
in a wheelchair. Now he's actually ambulatory. Like, that's what DDP Yoga did for him.
Yeah.
He ain't going out there and taking a spine buster from Arn Anderson.
Listen, he was planking and thrusting all over Brandy Rhodes, so he's been doing something. He's a little bit more than ambulatory right now.
It doesn't mean he's taking a spine buster from Arn Anderson.
Or that Arn could give him one in the first place.
There's a long way between doing downward dog and taking a spine buster from Arn Anderson. That's a huge disparity. So no, I saw that and I'm like, oh God, someone's gonna break a rib.
Well, I was in my full Ken Watanabe going, let them fight. Let the two old monsters just go at each other.
Yeah, they pointed out that they'd never actually had a match together, and it's true. And I was sitting there just going like, damn. Then these two guys cutting promos on each other back in the day would have been hot fire. Again, here, like I felt like time had caught up a little bit with these promos, but it was still they were both effective. You know, Jake's out there saying Lance Archer's going to kill your boy, and Arn's saying you don't understand, my boy needs this.
Yeah, and
he's going to take out your boy. And they war words. They kind of started threatening each other, and finally Jake had enough and flipped the table, and they had to be separated by a whole bunch of other people. And all right, it was a fun nostalgic segment. It got the point across. It was, I thought, a creative way of, instead of having more Cody and Lance Archer stuff, we've got the two old generals. Might bring in some lapsed fans, who knows? So not mad at it. But the big takeaway was that Arn pointed out that Mike Tyson isn't just there to present the TNT championship. Oh. He's going to have free reign to do whatever he wants, physicality included. There was a serious tease here that Mike Tyson going to punch somebody. Someone's getting decked by Tyson. So, does he figure into the match outcome, or does he just like have a little action after the match? Because Lance Archer, like Jake was saying, Lance Archer thinks he can knock out Mike Tyson, which is cute. 50-year-old Mike Tyson could pretty much kill almost anyone.
Yeah, in case you hadn't seen the hype videos he's been putting out recently with his old man salt and pepper beard, and he's still got that boom, boom, that lightning speed and that uppercut, that turn uppercut that he does. Yeah. Jesus Christ. I wouldn't want to come within 10 feet of Mike Tyson.
Right.
Much less take a punch by him.
This kind of felt, and Esme just put this in the chat, it felt like, you got the two fathers on the playground with the two biggest, meanest kids in school. And both the fathers like, yeah, my son can kick your son's ass. The other father's like, my son can kick your son's ass. Boys, get to it. Let's find out who boy's tougher. Come over to the sandbox real quick, boy. Come here. Our boy's going to fight. And then all of a sudden, one of the boys is like talking smack about the 10th grader who's over there working out. And the 10th grader comes over and he's like, I could beat this 10th grader. And everyone else is like, don't beat the 10th grader. He's going to kick your ass. No. The 10th grader's going to kill you. Don't talk shit to the 10th grader. Don't do it.
He's not even a wrestler. He's a world-class boxer, okay?
Yes. What are you going to do? He punches you once and you die. Your eyeballs will be found up in the cheap seats. Like, ugh. Anyway, so Nick, obviously you and I have made it very clear we're hyped as hell about Mike Tyson being part of this just because it's Mike freaking Tyson.
Mike Tyson being involved, he was supposed to just present the championship at the end, much like Bret Hart presented the original championship.
Come on.
We were no. Hang on though. Are we gonna have a schmoz finish after this whole tournament? We're gonna schmoz this finish. No, please don't do that. Please have a finish. Please crown a champion at the end of this.
It sounds like to me, Nick, if I were to predict this, Lance Archer, I think he's going to win. Let's say he doesn't. And he gets mad at Mike Tyson saying it should be mine, it should be my thing, and Mike Tyson knocks him out and gives it to Cody. Or other way around, he gets it and then talks shit to Mike Tyson and gets knocked out. Either way, I don't think that's going to figure into the finish because they know that would piss people off.
Do you think Mike Tyson sells for Lance Archer?
No.
Oh, okay.
Opposite.
Okay.
I think like the one dude who could knock out Lance Archer would be Mike Tyson, and people would believe it. You're like, okay. But it might take a little shine off of Lance Archer for doing that. Or if if they have a good enough relationship with Tyson, and Tyson will sell for Lance Archer, and Lance Archer can actually like put himself over Mike Tyson, I mean, you talk about building a star. That would do it.
Yeah, Lance decks Mike Tyson in the middle of the match, and then he just turns and looks at Cody, and Cody just cowers and begs off and just is completely overwhelmed. Like he just knocked out Mike Tyson. Kyle with the super chat, $5. Thank you, sir. Says Archer or Cody better get the oranges up the stairs for Arn or Jake. Stelio, Contos. I don't know what that is. Do you know what?
It rings a bell. I feel like I should know the reference.
It
Kyle,
sounds Greek. Yeah. Let me know what that is supposed to mean. Get the oranges up the stairs.
Arn or Jake. Oh, apparently color commentary from Dog Ziggler. He knows what he's talking about here. I wish I spoke dog, because then I would know how. Yeah. Oh, is that what it means? What's that, boy? Stelio Contos? It's a type of beer? I think you got that wrong, Dog Ziggler. All right.
He says it's an American Dad reference, and I didn't watch American Dad. My apologies.
Oh, that's Ziggler's favorite show. No wonder.
Ah, okay.
No wonder. Yeah, when I'm gone, he's all about that alien on that show. That's his favorite thing. I know. I'll put it on when we're done. So we also had another Darby Allin video of him playing cards with people who had like cutouts of the other people who were in the ladder match on their faces, dealing the cards. Darby pushes all in, wins it all, and then they show him on top of a burning ladder with the fire creeping up his leg. Another Darby video, pretty straightforward. I'm going to win the ladder match. Okay, thanks, Darby. We get it. But are you? Are you without the help of Taz? That's the question. So I think that Darby and Taz, that story has got to go somewhere. Otherwise, Darby is just kind of flying in circles.
I'm not a fan of it. It's I would be okay with Darby just moving forward and keep doing Darby. Darby's been fine by himself.
Oh, well, we'll have to disagree on that one.
I liked all the body bags, and I liked all the stuff and the skateboarding and the things that it's unique. We hadn't seen that before. I love it.
It is.
It did not need Taz.
All right.
Just my opinion. My two cents.
Agree to disagree on that one. What did you think about Sean Spears doing the news? Sean Spears News Hour, and he said, well, here's the news. Dustin Rhodes is retiring. Why?
It felt like a hat tip to Simon Miller always doing the kayfabe news. And I know Simon's been trying to get it to be his tag team partner. As him and Tully were putting that out there, they were on the search for tag team, and Simon's been lobbying pretty hard to do that.
Can't blame him.
I feel like Sean might have been doing a little bit of a hat tip, maybe. I don't know.
If we're being positive about it, but no. Either way, this is interesting because it's not something that I would have expected his character to do. It seemed gimmicky. It seemed silly. But yet, he delivered it with that level of kind of venom, this whole thing, which was basically just him talking smack to Dustin Rhodes and saying, I'm going to take you out at Double or Nothing. All right. That was the whole purpose of it, was setting up the match between him and Dustin at Double or Nothing. They've got history. They didn't have to do a whole lot of work. But at the end, I was sitting there going, like, is that the sort of thing Sean Spears should be doing? And I went, who am I to tell Sean Spears what he can or can't do? It's his world now.
Yeah.
He's not in WWE. His character can be whatever he wants it to be. He doesn't have to just be like the evil, vicious guy who takes guys out with chairs. If he wants to be a guy who's got a sense of humor or can do a silly skit like this and turn it into something that starts a feud, he can do that.
Yeah.
And he's charismatic enough, and this was interesting and entertaining enough that I just kind of went, oh, okay, if that's what your character does, I'm not mad at it. It's getting layers.
I like experimentation. If it works, great. If not, fail fast. Move on to the next thing. We did the Tully thing as a mentor and as a coach. That worked for a hot minute with Cody, and then it kind of, like a whoopee cushion, just deflated. And then now they're trying to do the thing with the tag team partner, and now he's doing the new. So I like that they're trying things.
Yeah.
If he were just sitting idle, not doing anything, that would be where I would be concerned. But I don't mind this. I don't mind trying new stuff, and maybe it gets over, maybe it doesn't. I've never been one to see overly sized athletic guys try and do weekend update / news segments. I've never really been into that.
But so here's a guy who just did it, and it was entertaining. The guy can speak. He's charismatic enough. Like,
sure,
why not?
But I want to see him with a microphone cutting promos and shit, not
But can't he do both? Isn't he doing both?
There's nobody's saying he can't do both. No, but I haven't seen him in a wrestling ring in months at this point, it feels like.
Well, it hasn't been months. He was beating guys a couple of weeks ago, and you're going to see him in one tonight.
Yeah.
But my point is like this kind of harkens back to us talking about Inner Circle. Should they be doing the bubbly bunch? And well, they turn around and they killed Vanguard 1, so can they play both sides of the field? Yeah, I kind of feel like they can at this point. You know what I mean? And maybe that's what he's doing, is he's saying, damn, I can go out there and be entertaining and do interesting little bits too, and then turn around and have matches and, be kind of an asshole heel as well. Like, yeah, great. If you can do it, do it.
Fantastic.
And you know one of the things we're going to do, Nick?
What?
We're going to do our pick'ems for Double or Nothing.
Well, we're going to kick things off tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern with the buy-in. It will be a 1-hour kickoff show before the main show at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. Starting off with Private Party versus the Best Friends, Trent Beretta and Chucky T. Ian, who have you got for this match?
They've been doing some skits with Private Party on being the elite, but Best Friends have had the momentum. Sorry, I had to use that word. They've had that momentum going for a while now, and to pay it off here, have them clear the final hurdle, and then go into a feud with Kenny Omega and the returning Hangman Page seems the logical decision. So I'm gonna have to go with Best Friends here.
They've sneakily climbed up into the number 1 contender spot in the tag division, very, very handily. So I'm totally picking Best Friends here as well. It's pretty obvious to me they're going to be the next contenders for the AEW Tag Team Championships.
Gonna be a damn good match though.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
Both of these buy-in matches are gonna be fire. The other one is the Casino Ladder match: Colt Cabana versus Kip Sabian versus Joey Janela stepping in for Rey Fenix versus Luchasaurus versus Orange Cassidy versus Scorpio Sky versus Frankie Kazarian versus Darby Allin versus TBA versus mystery 9th member of this match. Who do you have winning this match?
The Scorpio Sky.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. That's not a bad pick, actually.
Yeah.
So you're saying Scorpio Sky?
I think he's back, and they're gonna. They obviously couldn't put him over Jericho, but I think there's an opportunity here to push him to the moon, and I think it might start here.
Well, before I give mine, who do you see as being the mystery guy who steps in here?
I have no idea.
Well,
I don't know who's.
Well, okay.
Everybody else that could is having a match already.
Let me throw this out there. You've got Brian Cage, who has said he wants to go to AEW, but was injured but he's a free agent. You've got Ricky Starks, who just quit NWA, said he's a free agent. Drew Gulak is also out there. You've got Rowan, who's also out there. You have a few guys who are out. I think Rowan's still under no compete, though.
Yeah, he's not done his 90 days.
I imagine yet. Gulak would be too.
But he was released though. There's when they're released, that absolves the non-compete.
Yeah, I've got to check on which is which. So yeah, I definitely don't think it's Drew Gulak. But
no, I agree with that. It's not Drew Gulak. I don't think he's coming.
Very unlikely. Ricky Starks and Brian Cage would be in my opinion, the two most likely guys. And of those two, if I remember correctly, I believe Cage still has a little bit more time on his injury, but he could have healed quickly. Ricky Stark's ready to go. Yeah. And he'd be great to step in.
There's definitely a lot of hype for Ricky Starks joining the AEW roster. So sure. I don't really. I'm trying to think I'm going back down through the current roster of who's not in a match and who's not already in this match. And I'm struggling to find a name. QT, Dustin Rhodes, maybe?
No, he's already got a match on the show.
Oh, that's right. He has Shawn Spears.
Yeah.
QT Marshall? I'm struggling here to find names.
I don't think that they would have a mystery person in this match if it wasn't an exciting return of some sort.
Now, that's an interesting one. Jacob in the chat just said Cassius Ohno. I hadn't thought about that, but I don't think it's going to... I think you're right. I think it's Ricky Starks or Brian Cage. Very heavily leaning towards Ricky Starks. So I'll put Ricky Starks down as my pick.
Okay.
Are we doing a +1 on that one, or?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, because I feel bad if because I would want to say, like, if it's Brian Cage, he's a guy who could come in and feel like he could legitimately just go in and just take that and be a challenger to the champion, automatically legitimate.
What are the stakes here? Is this for a AEW
Number one
championship?
Yeah, you get a shot
wow.
at the title.
Then I definitely think it's Scorpio Sky.
Well, the problem with Scorpio Sky, he's already had that shot at the title. If he loses it again, he's going to be the guy that, like, total almost ran, right? And I'm looking at everyone in here. Darby does it. He's an almost ran again. Colt Cabana.
Nah.
Not that Colt Cabana, Kip Sabian, Joey Janela, Luchasaurus, Orange Cassidy, all varying degrees of, like, yeah, that'd be cool, but I can't see, like, it wouldn't be a match that I would look at and be like, they could possibly win that. Frankie Kazarian too. So I'm going to have to say that, like, of the guys in the match, Scorpio Sky would probably be a top pick, maybe even Colt Cabana or Orange Cassidy. Darby Allin's already been there.
No, to me,
it's
they're
tough
going to
to say.
bring somebody in this spot that's going to be the next challenger for the AEW championship.
Yeah.
And to me, it's either going to be Scorpio Sky or the TBA if I'm
Yeah.
looking at this list. And that's no offense to any of the other guys that are in this match, but like you said, a bunch of almost rans, and
Yeah.
so I think
say,
they're saving the TBA spot for somebody special.
I'm going to say it's the TBA. And I'm going to say the TBA is Cage just to have a different one than you. But if it is that TBA, I'm taking that point. I just can't see anyone else in here being that challenger. I can't. Penelope Ford versus Chris Statlander. Stepping in for Britt Baker. Who do you have here? Going with your girl?
Yep.
Going with your girl, Chris.
I think she's the next women's champion.
My goodness.
Yep.
I'm also going to go with Chris, but I don't know about that as far as the next women's champion. Dustin Rhodes versus Shawn Spears. I kind of feel like Shawn Spears needs a win. I'm picking him. Who do you have here?
I agree with you in principle, but Dustin Rhodes just got his ass whipped by Lance Archer, and I feel like he needs to get that back.
Very true.
So I'm really torn here. This is a coin flip 50-50 for me because they both need it. I'll go. You're picking Spears. I'll pick Dustin Rhodes.
Cool. MJF versus Jungle Boy. What do you have here?
MJF.
MJF is undefeated.
Yeah, MJF.
Yeah, I've got to go with that as well. He's undefeated this year, I should say. Except after all the Healy crap he's done, I could see Jungle Boy picking up a win. I'm going to take Jungle Boy, actually.
Okay.
Just MJF has been so Healy.
He's got that Wardlow X factor, though. So
I know.
Listen, this is all for Wardlow and Luchasaurus on the outside.
Marco Stunt be an X factor too. So
yeah,
I'm going to go Jungle Boy just to be different. Elite with Matt Hardy versus the Inner Circle in a Stadium Stampede match. Who do you have here?
Inner Circle.
I got to go Inner Circle too. I feel like there's more between these two factions. Elite is still kind of fractured. Inner Circle is.
Let them continue to fracture until they decide to make amends.
Yeah, I feel like Inner Circle needs to take this one.
Yeah, it needs to be Inner Circle. They need to be shown as a cohesive unit. Let them fracture, let them splinter, but let's make sure Inner Circle is all on the same page.
Yeah, they've been trading off wins back and forth over the last few weeks, like who's taking the moment, and the last one was the Elite taking the moment. So I'm kind of just a little bit of edge on Inner Circle. Hikaru Shida versus Nyla Rose for the AEW Women's Championship. Is it Shida's time or is Nyla retaining?
Nyla's going to retain.
I agree. Even though you had Chris Statlander put her through a table, Shida put her through a table at the end of the show.
That was an impressive spot to be able to do a top rope superplex through a table of Nyla Rose.
Yeah, made Shida look great, and that's the last time she's going to look good because Nyla's going to kill her.
Yep. And I think the next in line is going to be Chris Statlander after she wins tonight as well. And it's all going to start making a bunch of sense. And I think Chris Statlander's the one that's going to dethrone Nyla Rose eventually. Fighter Fest or whatever we do this summer.
Right. All right. Cody versus Lance Archer, the inaugural TNT Championship. Here we go. Who do you have in this one?
Lance Archer.
Mm-hmm.
Same as from the beginning. Cody can take the loss. Again, this is weird because Mike Tyson's in there. It could be a schmoz finish, which would completely make the entire TNT tournament irrelevant.
I'd be pissed.
I'd be really upset if that happened. But there's no right way for Cody to win this. I can't figure out a right way for Cody to win it. So it's got to be Lance. Lance is made almost instantly irrelevant if Cody wins this somehow.
The only way I could see it working is if Cody wins and then Lance ends up beating up Mike Tyson to stay strong. I'm going to go out on a limb here, Nick.
Oh,
and
no.
I'm going to say Cody wins it. Yeah, I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to have one of my crazy moments here. I don't have anything on the line.
And all
of
that work by Jake Roberts of the last 2 to 3 months will have been for nothing.
I don't know. I think they could redeem it. Who does Tyson punch for a +1? +1.
The ref. Sorry, Aubrey.
Bryce Rems.
Aubrey Edwards. Aubrey Edwards takes one from Mike Tyson.
You're a mean man. Do you know that?
You know what? We would all stand up on our feet and go, "By God!"
No, I would be horrified. That would be the word. Mike Tyson, heel turn of the century.
Right.
Heel turn of the century.
Takes out one of the most beloved referees in current modern wrestling times.
Dude.
Oh. It would be so good. So good. Oh, my God. Esme with the $25 super chat.
Oh, my goodness.
Here's some pizza money, gents. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I was feeling like some pizza. That's
Pizza does sound good, actually.
Yeah. What if Tyson joins the Inner Circle? Chef's kiss. Mwah.
Oh, so good.
That would be. Can you imagine the skits they'd get out of that?
Oh yeah. He takes whatever he has on, he takes it off, and it's an Inner Circle T-shirt for the match.
like WrestleMania 15, where he just takes it off, and it's not DX. All of a sudden, it's a Stone Cold shirt underneath. No, it's not the Elite. He's got the Inner Circle shirt on underneath. Mike Tyson is Inner Circle. Oh, that'd be gold. Jon Moxley versus Brody Lee for the AEW Championship. Who do you have here?
Moxley's retaining.
Mox is retaining. There's no way. Well, there is a way. There is a way. They could have Moxley get overwhelmed by the Dark Order, and he could look like a goon.
If Stu Grayson and Evil Uno somehow have figured out a way to get back to Daly's place in Jacksonville,
if Stu Grayson and Evil Uno have snuck across the border,
right?
If they, in the middle of the night,
they've circumvented Customs and Border Patrol,
crawled
all the way down to Jacksonville,
fence, snuck by the Dobermans,
right?
And got back into America, then maybe. But yeah, Mox.
Yeah, Moxley's
if he drops it already, people are going to be looking at his reign and being like, "Well, that sucked." And if Brody loses, and Brody's going to lose here, it's a mess. It's a mess. We've been over this.
This could. I agree with what Troy just said in the chat. I was getting ready to jump in on you and say that. I think this could be a complete schmoz finish, or Moxley retains by DQ. But I'll say this for the record. Moxley's walking out of Double or Nothing with the AEW Championship that was stolen from him a few weeks ago. He's getting his baby back. This isn't about the outcome of the match. It's about him getting the title back.
And I think that's one thing I was thinking when I was watching the show was they've got to do something more with this. There's got to be something more to this match besides win or lose. Mox versus Brody, like straight up match. There has to be a swerve. There has to be something interesting that happens here. Yeah. Otherwise, this is just flat as a pancake.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with Troy. I'll go one more and say this beyond a smodge finish. They've got to have something major that we don't expect happening. It can't just be like Brody gets a chair and gets DQ'd.
Right.
Like it's got to be like something. So especially if this is the main. I'm pretty sure the Stadium Stampede will be the main event.
Yeah.
So if this is the main event, if this goes on after the Stadium Stampede, then prepare for like a debut or something. That's the other thing is like, do the Revival show up? I think they're still on no compete.
There's a lot of chatter about the Revolt.
No, they're not. They're not on no compete anymore.
No, they're
are
not. They're completely free.
They negotiated out of it. Yeah, they're completely free. But they do have a cease and desist on them right now from WWE.
Well, just for the Revolt name.
Yeah, so I wonder. I mean, they could still show up, and just they wouldn't know. what to.
There is a lot of speculation out there that I read this morning before we started the show about, are we going to see the Revival / the Revolt show up at Double or Nothing?
In the Stadium Stampede.
Could one of them be the surprise entrance in the ladder, the casino buy-in, the ladder match thing, whatever.
Right.
So
They come out from under the ring, Stadium Stampede, come up through the gates of hell.
Yeah.
In the Milton Mountain. We shall see, Nick. We shall see in just a couple of hours, actually, which means we've got to get on with the show and go talk about NXT.
Okay. I see the order that you have the notes put together, but I want to talk about something maybe in a little different way.
Okay.
As much as I might have said over the last couple of weeks that I'm totally okay with Charlotte going cross-brand and being sort of ubiquitous, it was kind of a little much this week.
There was a lot of Charlotte.
A lot of Charlotte. And we haven't even gotten to the other show yet, at the end of the show here, where she was there.
There's a lot of Charlotte.
And now we know that we're going to get Charlotte on Raw on Monday in a contenders match. So this is what
what the heck was it? In triple threat number one contenders match? Her and Nia Jax
and Natalya.
Natalya. Where's Shayna Baszler in that picture? Why?
So
neither here nor there.
All of that to say that this is the first time that it has irked me the wrong way. You had Rhea Ripley and Io Shirai in what should have been a match for the ages. It should have been a pay-per-view main event, and we got 8 minutes of it on a show that ultimately finished in a schmoz because here outwalks Charlotte, and then Charlotte ends up getting in, spearing, and
Rhea ends up running into her. And then so Charlotte gets involved in the match.
Who's standing tall holding the belt at the end of the match between Rhea Ripley and Io Shirai? Effing Charlotte Flair. Come on! I get it. I know. She's amazing. I know I'm on board with that, but god damn it, let me have 10 minutes of Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley just uninterrupted. Just let me have that. And you can't even let me have that.
But you did get a bunch of them uninterrupted, and it was great to watch them work, but the point of this is to make you want more. And the point of this is also to establish the fact that all three of these women are gunning for each other for various reasons. Io and Rhea both want the championship. They don't like each other. Rhea and Io also have problems with Charlotte individually, and Charlotte's the champ and will take on anybody. So we're setting this up for a triple threat, Nick. We are.
Oh, totally.
And it might be a way to get the title off of Charlotte without having Charlotte get straight up pinned, which makes me scared for Io Shirai. I'm not going to lie. Unless by some stretch they're like, let's get a finish where somehow Rhea gets KO'd or something, and Io pins Rhea and wins the championship off of Charlotte, and then they're all protected, and Rhea and Io can just go feud, and Charlotte can leave NXT.
Io pinning Rhea protects all of them.
Right. Especially if you have a really good way of having Rhea get knocked down or knocked out.
Yeah.
Right.
One of her big, huge moonsaults that she does off the top. Or I don't know.
Whatever it is, Io sneaks in and gets the pin. The point is that they're going towards a triple threat. And that's why Charlotte had to get involved here. I got it. I'm not going to lie. I kind of figured that from the second the match started. So I wasn't terribly invested in the match because I didn't think there was going to be an outcome here. And there wasn't. Especially as soon as Charlotte came out, I'm like, all right, cool. So it wasn't that engaging. But now I'm not going to lie. I'm looking forward to a Rhea, Io, Charlotte triple threat, Nick. That's good stuff. Put it in my eye holes.
I'm not mad at that.
Okay, then.
Well,
but you got to build that somehow.
Yeah, but let me have a Rhea, Io match.
You just did.
Please.
You had 8 minutes of it.
Well, okay.
What do you want, man? They got a show to do. They got to get through some stuff. I want a 20-minute
more wrestling.
I want them to go Broadway, 60 minutes without a finish. More wrestling.
It doesn't have to be 60, maybe 20. 20's okay. I've seen better matches out of Io Shirai with the likes of Candace LaRae. That shouldn't be the case. When I have a match with Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley, I should not be thinking about other good Io Shirai matches that I've seen in the past.
That was you.
I'm not saying it's everybody.
Okay.
I'm saying that's what I was thinking about. Like, oh man, remember how good that Io Shirai Candace LaRae thing when Candace did that moonsault off the top of oh my god, yeah. Oh, it was crazy. This wasn't crazy.
That was a takeover match.
It's fine.
Like this was just a TV match. They're building something. Like this was utilitarian. It wasn't supposed to be here being an all-time classic.
Fine. I want Rhea and Io to have an all-time classic in their legacy.
At some point. And they may. Like I said, maybe Io wins the title and then we go into a Rhea and Io feud and you get your wish a month or two down the road.
Yes.
Maybe,
please. Because Charlotte's apparently going to go get #1 contender for the Raw Women's Championship against Asuka on Monday. So she's going to move from one title to the other. So we've got to relinquish the one on June 7th when we have the takeover coming up. A couple of super chats I got to get to real quick. Adam Ness with the 316. Oh, hell yeah. First time, long time. Love the show. Stay well. You too, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks for stopping by.
Also, trivia, Nick, I know you know this, but the 316 promo, who did he cut it on?
Oh.
Where did 316 come from? Yep.
Well, I know it's the John. You got your John 316. Well, Stone Cold 316 says, "I just whooped your ass."
But that's because whose gimmick? Who had gotten all holier than thou because of his alcoholism, and that's what Stone Cold was referring to. And in fact, he was walking out of he had just beaten him. He was walking out of the ring right then as Stone Cold was taking P.S. Hayes' mic and starting to say all that. Who was walking out that Stone Cold's referring to when he said, "You talk about your Bible and your John 3:16"? Who was he speaking to?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Jake the Snake Roberts. Jake the Snake Roberts. So he beat for King of the Ring. Anyway, neither here nor there. Fun little wrestling trivia. But yes, thank you for that. Thank you for that 316 in the tip jar.
Yes. Also, Kyle with $5 again in the super chat. Thank you, sir. Says Charlotte with the NXT title going across all the brands just feels like an extended version of the feeling of Brock running in to take Money in the Bank. You know what? No, I'm not. No, it's not quite that bad. It's not. Listen, Charlotte is Charlotte. She's not Brock. She's not Roman Reigns. We've jokingly said Charlotte Reigns a few times before in the past.
But she's not.
But she's not. I get it. I completely understand Charlotte Flair, and I'm on board that train full stop, right?
Yeah, and you can't compare her to Brock because she's on every show doing matches,
she's
getting
the
her lip
opposite
busted.
of Brock, if anything.
Right. She is a traveling champ. Like, that might actually be the problem. And she's definitely not Roman because, you know, is she on a lot of things? Yes, but they're also not trying to put her over as like a obnoxious baby face who the fans love despite her getting booed like crazy. She's Charlotte Flair. She's an a-hole. She is her last name. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not mad at this in theory, but they are definitely walking a tightrope with it. Yeah. And it'd be very easy to get fans burned out on her. So hopefully they are taking that title off of her. They'll get her stuck to a brand soon. We shall see.
Yeah.
So that was the women's match. Looked like it's setting up for a triple threat. We also had another match set up we're setting up matches for In Your House this week. Karrion Kross. I keep wanting to call him Killer Kross. Karrion Kross comes out with his awesome entrance again, which is just so damn theatrical. And I've got something to say about that actually. I'm gonna be a bit of a couch quarterback on this, but give me a second.
Okay.
So he comes out, does his entrance with Scarlett. Some other poor guy in the ring is already standing there. It was basically a carbon copy of last week. Murders the guy, a couple of Saito suplexes, puts him in the cross jacket, wins 1, 2, 3. They start posing, and out comes Tommaso Ciampa, who says, "All right, I get it. You came in, you beat up the big dog because you want to make an impression. Great. Now you have my attention. Welcome to the main event. You and I are going to have a match at In Your House." And that was pretty much the segment. So that fine. Okay, all well and good. They're building Kross as being an absolute killer, pardon the pun. Ciampa, you know, he's still Ciampa. So we're going to have a match between those two. Is that main event worthy in your opinion, Nick?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so great. All established. Here's the little
Put it in my eye holes. Them two beating the holy shit out of each other. That ain't little Johnny Gargano, as Ciampa said, very apropos. That is a 6'4", 265-pound killing machine. That ain't little Johnny wrestling.
No, that's a full-on man. That's a man.
Ciampa and Killer Kross, yes, all day, yes.
Here's the funny thing. And I would love to get everyone else's feedback because I want to just make sure it's not just my perception.
Okay.
But I feel like with Karrion Kross's presentation, with the way he's presenting himself, he's doing something. There's something he could really learn from, of all people, The Undertaker. And if you look at The Undertaker and how he worked in the early part of his career, and he even mentioned this on Last Ride, and it reminded me of something that has been talked about for years, is that one of the things that made Undertaker so cool was how slow he moved 90% of the time. But then when he exploded and he could just do these crazy big fast moves and then right back to being slow, right? That was exciting. It was, whoa, wow, what was that? Holy crap. Orange Cassidy uses the same thing, right? Where he does nothing, he's sloth-like, and then all of a sudden when he goes, you're like, wow. Karrion Kross needs to slow the hell down.
Yeah.
He needs to walk with more purpose. He needs to slow everything down. If you watch this match with this poor enhancement guy,
Liam Tyler,
something like that.
Yeah.
When he's stalking him, when he's walking on the ring, he's walking almost like a normal walking pace. If that became a very slow, deliberate stalk, if everything that he did was very slow until bam, Saito suplex, right? If he slowed everything down quite a bit and then went at the speed he's been going with these big moves, it would make them seem that much more exciting. It would make him seem that much more terrifying. And I think that's, to me, it's just a little thing that he could tweak to make himself even more of a big character. And it was actually bothering me how fast he was moving because it took away from the presentation. There's so many things in the presentation that are already there, right? With the entrance, with the feeling of doom, the overall depiction of his character as being this world ender. Why is a world ender walking full pace? He has no stalking by walking. It's the old horror movie cliche, right?
Yeah.
The killer never runs. The killer always walks, and usually somewhat slowly. It doesn't seem to make sense that he can catch the poor running girl who, but he does. That's what makes him scary. Slow the hell down. That's just my take on it.
Well, let's throw an Aleister Black in there for comparison. Slow, brooding walk, and just explodes out of nowhere, right?
Yep. The Fiend is somewhat similar too. Well, he'll hold very still, and then all of a sudden he'll go for you, right? Same thing. Be a horror movie character,
right? And
so that's obviously they listen. So hopefully, Karrion, if you're out there, welcome to NXT. Slow down. Yeah, slow down. And again, couch quarterback.
And Scarlett, please stop lip syncing.
I don't mind that.
You can just do some interpretive dance and stuff with your Catwoman gloves, your talons.
She cut it in half this time. It wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad this time. They'll learn.
Your boy Roderick Strong had a match with Dexter Lumis.
Could I just say Dexter Lumis is very quickly becoming my favorite wrestler?
That boy's got a spine buster.
Yeah, he does.
That boy has a spine buster.
That boy no-sells everything.
Woo!
And I love it. I didn't think I would love that, but I love it. Like, I absolutely love everything that Dexter Lumis is. The Stranger Things soundtrack. It's like he's got the Dust Brothers doing his entrance music. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and they're going to have to find more levels to it. They're still in the we don't know what drives him stage. So there is some more evolution he's going to have to do, or it's going to get stale pretty quick. But damn if it ain't fun right now. And it's great to see it contrasting with Roddy, who has kind of evolved into this somewhat bratty character, snotty, bratty character who can go in the ring. But this was a fun little match, and it showed that Lumis can work. Ultimately, he does fall victim to little Roderick trickeration and loses, but doesn't really care. He goes outside the ring, puts Roddy chokes him out outside the ring. The whole Undisputed Era comes out, starts kicking him. He doesn't even change expression while they're kicking him on the floor.
I love this so much.
Until all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Velveteen Dream comes out, lays out the entire Undisputed Era, and comes off the top turnbuckle to the outside over the barricades to take out Adam Cole. Good Lord, that was a spot. So apparently Dream is still around. If you were wondering if they were going to stick behind Dream, apparently they are, which is, I think, a good sign that they believe he's innocent of the charges against him, or at least they're willing to run that train into the ground. So Velveteen Dream and Dexter Lumis,
guilty, you know.
Apparently. So, yeah. But so Dream is still involved in this as well. Lumis and Dream still having a feud with the Undisputed Era, which is a really interesting pairing. And Lumis, I mean, talk about a push out of nowhere. Like, he went from being in the up-and-comers tournament to, boom, all of a sudden top of the card with Dream and the Undisputed Era. So, nice. Are we going to a tag match here? Like, what, or some singles matches? Like, what, where is this going? Because this, I mean, we were talking about how convoluted this was last week. It still hasn't cleaned up. I still have no idea where the hell they're going with this. This is the title. This is the NXT title. And I still have no idea where they think they're going with this.
I hope Dexter Lumis finds his way into a title match.
Oh, my God. Well, he might. I don't think he's winning it.
No. No.
But this is the title picture. Like, people are comparing NXT and AEW and saying, oh, NXT is kind of falling off a little bit. Your title picture is muddled. You got a guy, a psychopath like Dexter Lumis, who's somehow circling the title as well. We have no idea what his intentions are. And then Dream, we're all worried about him possibly being, sent away for a while. And they're keeping him in the title picture. So it's, I don't know. It's a worrying situation in NXT right now.
Yeah. But Roddy got it done. I think is like Roddy won the match.
He won the match, but he lost the war.
Much like The Fiend and not caring about the belt, does Dexter Lumis care about winning or losing? He just wanted to beat somebody up. Is that part of that weird mystique?
But he's been fixated on the Undisputed Era, or as they've said, well, why? Why has he been fixated? We don't know. So I don't know. I
almost don't want to know. I just want him to keep being what he is right now. Like, don't stop doing that. Don't tell us anything else. Just show up randomly and kill people. Like,
we said it before, but also, go check out his Twitter. The guy's actually an amazing artist in real life.
Oh yeah,
very cool. Very cool. One title that I think they're doing some good stuff with is the Cruiserweight Championship. Oh. Obviously, we have to have an interim champion. So we still are having that tournament going on. And so this week we had Hijo de Fantasma and Akira Tozawa, winner take all. And my goodness, beautiful match. Both these guys put in some work, but ultimately Fantasma edges out Tozawa and goes on to the finals. I got some thoughts about that, which I'll come back to. We also, in our other match, had Drake Maverick and Kushida. And I loved how Drake set this up for himself, because one of the best things you can do is put over your opponent, and this shows why. Because Drake says, I have to keep my job, to stay alive here. I can't second guess myself. I have to go out there and face the best cruiserweight in the world, junior heavyweight, whatever you want to call it. I have to go face the best one in the world and somehow survive.
Win.
And that's
the only thing that matters. Win.
I've got to win. And that's what this was Kushida taking apart Drake Maverick, destroying his arm to the point where he couldn't even move his arm, and Drake just gutting through. And as Kushida went for an armbar, reversing the momentum and using Kushida's momentum against him, reversing it into a pinning predicament, Kushida loses. Drake Maverick wins. That means we have a 3-way tie in their block between Jake Atlas, who was ringside, Drake Maverick, and Kushida. Next week we will have that match determine who wins, triple threat to determine who goes and faces Hijo de Fantasma. Mwah. So basically, no, Drake Maverick. So basically what we called, Nick, was we were going to end up with this: Fantasma or Tozawa on the one side. I think we both said Fantasma probably.
So I've said Kushida Fantasma from that. Those have been my picks from the beginning.
Well, and here we are, where that very likely could be the case.
Yep.
Here's where it gets interesting: is after all of this, we see Fantasma and Tozawa out in the parking lot. Fantasma rolls up on Tozawa, who's walking away dejected. They give each other some love. They're like, hey, man, good stuff. And Fantasma apologizes, like, hey, man, you're great. I love you, but I'm sorry that didn't work out. Tozawa's like, it's okay, dude. It happens. Fantasma gets back in his car. The other car rolls up, and the parking lot bandits attack Tozawa. A bunch of guys in gold lucha masks attack Tozawa against the door to Fantasma's car. So you have to get out and go around the other side. By the time he gets there, the damage is done. The luchadors run back into the van and take off. Tozawa is laid out against the van. So this is this relevant to the Cruiserweight Championship? We've seen a bunch of guys like Raul Mendoza and other guy, whose name I always forget. They got taken out. And now Tozawa, they had lucha masks on.
Uh-huh.
Is this a swerve? And Phantasma's running his own like Lucha Dark Order here?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're seeing here?
Yes. You guys listening on the audio.
Joaquin Wilde. That's the other guy. I just finally got it.
Yeah, Joaquin.
Oh, and Kyle just put it in the chat.
Don't hit the mic. Okay.
Coffee hasn't
No,
kicked in.
I do. There wasn't too much fighting from Phantasma, who was, quote, I'm going to do air quotes and say, trapped in his car so he couldn't help Tozawa while he was being mugged and attempted kidnapping. They didn't get him. Phantasma got out, and what we didn't see because he was off camera was, did he wave off the guys and tell them just to get out of here and then run over and care for Tozawa alongside the car.
Mm-hmm.
Where's my tinfoil hat?
You don't need it. This isn't that far out of here.
Right.
That's
not... yes, they are wearing lucha masks. They've been wearing lucha masks the whole time. This all did start around the time that we were hearing that Phantasma was going to start. I don't know. I'm just putting two and two together here. You guys tell me. That's what it feels like to me. It's like, this is like, it feels.
I'm taking apples. I'm taking oranges. I'm making a fruit salad. I think so too. So yes. I'm hoping that would be a great way to end this tournament with just a whole bunch of skullduggery and kerfufflery, and that could be a lot of fun. So
I want to give a special shout out to Drake Maverick here as well. But let me do this first before I do that, because we're piling up some super chats here. Thank you guys very much. Line Drive Kyle's $5 in the super chat again said, if Drake isn't re-signed after that amazing performance, I don't know what will. That image of him in Kushida's armbar yelling at the ref, chef's kiss. Absolutely. Him going, don't stop the match. Don't stop the match. No.
Kushida's ripping his arm off, and he's just like, yo, don't stop it. I could go. No.
And he gets his leg on the ropes. Oh.
Yeah. Yep. Hit between his speech beforehand and his again, and it wasn't even like a wrestling performance. That was a theater performance as much as anything. And all Kushida had to do was just go out there and, beat Kushida and obviously out wrestle Drake, just basically destroy him. And Drake just had to make you believe that he was barely surviving and just doing it by grit. Yeah, no, chef's kiss indeed.
Absolutely. And holy smokes, Esme with another $50 in the super chats. Here's the money I was going to use to buy shots for the BWO Nation at the MGM meetup for Double or Nothing. Thank you, Esme. Save them for WrestleMania next year.
Yeah.
In LA.
We shall pay it back tenfold.
One other thing that Cody said on the call this week, not to completely sidetrack, but fans have started congregating in the parking lots on Wednesday nights for Dynamite. And I'm sitting here going, are we just going to start taking it back to where we can tailgate during shows and during pay-per-views in parking lots? That's an interesting thing to think about. Like, if this stuff continues to go on throughout 2020 and into 2021, do fans just take over parking lots and begin to watch the shows together outside? That could be really, really interesting to see. But Cody did say that they've been going out to the parking lots after the shows on Wednesday nights and saying hi, social distancing, of course, but, the fans thing. That's all I wanted to talk about. So, yeah, even if we can't go inside of Staples Center, or the new stadium, I should say.
Well, the new stadium isn't going to be ready in time, apparently, so I have no idea what they're going to do with WrestleMania next year.
The
only thing I can hope,
10 years to finish.
I just hope that they do like Florida next year, and then the year after that they do LA. Come to LA at some point, guys, please.
Yes.
Please. We got to run through the rest of NXT here, Nick, because we got to go. We got lots to do before Double or Nothing. Mia Yim gets a win over Santana Garrett.
Finally looked like the Santana Garrett I was excited to see when she signed with NXT, by the way.
Yeah, was playing to the crowd like she was R-Truth. The non-existent crowd. Into the camera, Santana. There's no one there. But great, nice match. Santana looked good. Mia looked good. Mia needed to look good because she's got done with her good hand match against Charlotte. But then after the match, who comes out singing her song but Candace LaRae and Johnny Gargano? They start talking smack. Out comes Keith Lee to break it up. And we have Keith and Mia Yim holding the ring against Johnny and Candace, who scuttle away like the nasty little heels that they are. Keith Lee afterwards says, who in the bluest of blue hells videotapes themselves eating dinner. What is this nonsense? I can't stand this. And you ain't going to take out my woman like that. Johnny Gargano, you and me, North American Championship at In Your House.
Ooh.
All right. Well, that escalated quickly.
Yes.
Couples feud. Should this be a couples feud, or how do you feel about it?
I don't want it to be a mixed tag, if that's what you're implying.
No, I don't. Well, we're getting the North American title match at In Your House, but
sure.
But then what do Mia and Candace do?
Fight outside. Fine. Don't have it. No, I definitely don't want a la Smackdown Otis Mandy Sonya Dolph mixed tag match between Mia Yim and Keith Lee versus Candace and Johnny Gargano. I am really okay with Keith Lee and Gargano for the North American Championship. There's obviously going to be some skullduggery in there of people messing around, and maybe Gargano takes the title in a very Healy dickish way off of Keith Lee, which I'd be okay with that right now.
Really?
Yeah. He's had it too long. He has no opponents anymore.
I would like this feud to go on a little bit longer, but
I think it will. But they'll ping pong it back and forth for a few months. But I wouldn't be mad at Keith dropping it to Johnny to pay off the theater that they're doing with the gimmick. I don't enjoy
it. It's too quick. It's too quick right now. If he drops it to Johnny on the first match, it feels like it's too soon to me.
I agree.
Everrise, which is of course Chase Parker and Matt Martell, drop a match to Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, who looks like they're trying to rehab that tag team. Do you think they can rehab them enough to be relevant in a fairly slim tag division, Nick?
Nah,
do we need them? I care. I'm asking the question. That's why I'm saying. Do you feel like people don't care about Burch and Lorcan anymore?
They should, but I don't.
I agree.
But in a match with no stakes, no outcome, really, ultimately, like, what was it for? It was just an exhibition. Like, what were we told about either of these teams to care, other than us remembering the Burch and Lorcan from 2 or 3 years ago?
Well, Everrise, I think, are established as enhancement, but Burch and Lorcan, I think they're trying to make them look respectable, and they'll probably feed them to Malcolm Bivens' team or feed them up the card or something. I don't know. I'm very curious, but the fact that they're there and they're winning, to me means something, Nick. But there are a few more things on the show that mean things. We got to run through those really quickly. Shotzi Blackheart had a very pointed promo about how much she loves punk rock and tanks. Okay, yes. Cool. It was fine, establishing her character very strongly. Someone on Twitter saying, "Oh, look like a fake punk," and I was sitting there thinking to myself, nothing is more punk than calling someone a fake punk. Like, as someone who used to go to a hell of a lot of punk shows, I can tell you there's definitely that whole like, well, you're not a real punk because you didn't see the Kennedys in '89. There's a lot of that.
You weren't at the Dead Milkman show from 1984.
Right. If you don't have a Descendants tattoo, you're not a real punk.
Right.
Get out of here. Cameron Grimes says that he's putting Finn in his rear view mirror. Finn, we're getting Finn versus Priest in your house. Okay, that came out of nowhere. Cool, awesome. Finn versus Priest. Cameron Grimes moving on. I'm wondering if Cameron still has some.
Finn versus Grimes
again.
Like I would have rather have seen that in a longer format match. Like, let those two just really go at each other. Yeah, we had it, but I think there was a surprise win there from Grimes, and I would have thought Finn would not have been okay with that. The Prince would have wanted his due.
I have a feeling that at some point the check will be in the mail for Cameron Grimes on that one.
Okay.
There's the receipt coming, if you know what I mean, Daddy.
Yeah.
He's got a receipt coming in the mail.
Yeah, he does.
You know who else has a receipt coming? Matt Riddle, because Timothy Thatcher wants him in what I would like to call a tap or nap match, meaning no pinfalls, because it was a fluke pinfall last week that got him. He said Matt Riddle can't step to him in a real match, which is submissions or go to sleep. My goodness. So we're getting that match, and they've since NXT aired on Wednesday, we've been getting more and more put on this match. First of all, we find out it's in a cage, It's in your house. We're going to Thatcher versus Riddle at In Your House in a cage. And we just found out today, special guest referee Kurt Angle, who's not supposed to be with the WWE anymore, but apparently he's coming back to ref this match. How about a what?
Oh, I got to remember to breathe. Holy smokes. Holy smokes.
How about a who?
I got the shivers. Woo.
Yeah. So that went from, hey, cool, to holy shit, awesome in about 0.9 seconds.
Yeah.
So that wraps it up for NXT, Nick, but we've got a lot more show to get to because we have to go talk about Friday Night Smackdown.
Hey, ho, ho, Miz and Morrison. Hey, ho, ho.
I'll take
Miz
that
and
over you
Morrison.
singing AC/DC on me.
Yeah.
Miz and Morrison open up the show with the dirt sheet and run their mouths on Otis, run their mouths on Bray Wyatt, and run their mouths on Braun Strowman, who took exception.
Braun Strowman? No, that was one of the puppets.
Braun Strowman.
Was it Brown? No. Listen.
When he gets really scared, he's Braun Strowman.
People are either going to love this or they're going to hate this. This is going to be a very binary love-hate kind of thing with Miz Morrison and the dirt sheet, especially with the 12-year-old toilet humor. And I will stand up here in full transparency and admit I laughed my ass off. Because my inner 12-year-old likes fart and dick jokes.
Well, and so does Vince McMahon. And the thing I liked about this was when they were making fun of Bray Wyatt, they said, hey, we found some puppets that he didn't use. And they had like a stupid sock puppet up there with a bow tie on its head. And then we had another puppet that was like a diaper, essentially.
It was a roll of toilet paper.
Right. And someone opened his mouth and like a brown sock rolled out of its mouth. And then all you heard was just fart sounds going. The thing was, it was so... Look at you. You're laughing again. You're like 7 years old.
Yes.
I'm not going to lie. I usually toilet humor, take it or leave it. Like sometimes it makes me laugh. Sometimes it doesn't. But this was so obviously over the top. Like they were relentless fart sounds while this thing was talking with the poop hanging out of his mouth.
A puppet made of toilet paper that when it talks, it just makes shit noises. I can't. I'm crying.
I'm laughing at you laughing.
It's so stupid.
It's so dumb, but I know Vince was in the back laughing his ass off at this shit. Literally, pardon the pun. Because this was so, it was just so over the top that it made it like, I don't know. It was endearing to me because it was so over the top.
Right.
And the thing is that this whole skit before Braun came out, I was sitting there going, the repartee was fantastic. The little one-liners.
Morrison saying each of his abs are Instagram influencers.
Yeah. Saying if I was bearing Seth Rollins' baby, I would never show my face around here either.
Oh.
So yeah, it was fun. It was funny. They're making fun of all these guys. Well, as I said, out comes Braun Strowman. He's laughing too. He couldn't help himself. He thought the fart jokes were funny too. So he comes out. He goes, "You guys are really funny. But you know what? Last week, yes, we beat you." And Morrison gets up in Braun's face. Gets up in his face, and he says, "Hey man, well, you can't beat us one-on-one, can you? How about you face Miz tonight and you show us what you're..." And Miz is back there going, Morrison, shut up. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So Morrison talks Miz into a one-on-one match with Braun Strowman later on in the show. Of course, Miz gets his ass just handed to him later on in the show. Destroyed by Braun Strowman. But at the end, Morrison can't help but run his mouth again and say, "Oh yeah, Braun, you're such a big deal. Well, guess what? You can't take out both of us at the same time." And so we're booked into a handicap match, Braun Strowman versus Miz and Morrison at Backlash. Okay, left field.
Co-Universal Champions?
Oh, come on. They immediately start putting over Miz and Morrison as it being possible, which says to me they're going to get destroyed at Backlash.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be annihilation.
Is that the best use for Miz and Morrison, is just being guys who get their butts kicked like that? I mean, here we have a fantastic opening segment. Funny, lighthearted, great pace. The interaction with Braun Strowman was great. Braun played his part well. The match with The Miz was fine. It was what it was. It was what it was supposed to be. The idea of Braun taking on two guys is it's interesting. I can't say that it blows my wig off, but okay, interesting. But at the end of the day, should Miz and Morrison be more of a threat, or is this their lane?
They should be. No, this is, well, both, honestly. This is their lane. Doing a talk show like this, the dirt sheet, bringing that back, having the fun, having an open, lighthearted opening like this. I like this. But at the end of the day, I want Braun Strowman to be an unstoppable monster. I don't want him to be this joking guy that does the worm with Otis and comes out laughing at Morrison's toilet jokes, 12-year-old jokes. I want him to come down and just rip their damn arms off and beat them with them.
See, but here's the thing. He got to do both of those things, Nick. He got to come down and seem like a real human being.
And that's where I'm torn.
Because
I kind of like both of these things.
I like the fact that he has layers. Weren't we complaining about that? Braun just being like the big dumb monster. That's not good for him. But him being a big smart monster, that's good. And he came off as that here. He looked like a guy who was confident in his abilities. You know, they put him over for outthinking Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
You know, like he's looking like a thinking monster. That's great. That's exactly what you need Braun Strowman to be. So, chef's kiss.
Yes.
Let's talk about Charlotte. You were saying she was all over this week, and she was. She had a champion versus champion match against Bayley. And I'm not going to lie, Nick, I was shook. I did not expect this to end the way that it did.
Nope.
First of all, they had a fantastic match. You can tell that they've got amazing chemistry, go way back. I loved all of the spot calling, like the yelling at each other in the middle of the match. Lots of verbiage.
Well, we got to set this up,
around.
too. Before the match even started, Bayley and Sasha are backstage, and she's telling Sasha, no, you stay back here. I got this. And you weren't sure whether or not it was because Bayley started to believe Charlotte and didn't trust Sasha to be out there for her, or
she had to prove something.
She had to prove something.
Well, Charlotte says you can't win without Sasha, so that was what she had to prove.
Or was it that she was scared that Sasha was going to turn on her?
Oh, God, now you're reading too much into it.
Maybe.
Calm down there, Michael Cole.
Okay.
Real quick, super chat from Kyle, $4.99. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Kyle.
He's talking about the opening segment still. So quick backtrack. He says it had no business working, and Miz and Morrison made that dumb stuff work. Miz and Morrison are a treasure and must be protected, just like the Warriors. You know, it's funny. I don't know if they need to necessarily be protected in terms of wins and losses, but in terms of their ability to go out and do a great segment, totally agreed.
I would love to see them break off at some point, not be a tag team. Miz go back after his Intercontinental, and Morrison can go be the U.S. champion, or hell, even a title run, or a championship title run. So
yeah.
I think they are amazing singles workers. The pairing of the two of them, while on the surface looks organic, it still feels a little odd to me, even though it's working.
But my God, the timing that they have, it's like a comedy routine with how quick they are on top of each other. I don't know if they wrote this. It feels like they wrote this because it feels so natural with them doing it. And Morrison in particular, like we know Miz can talk. Morrison actually used to be critiqued for not being a good promo, not being a good mic worker. And he was the MVP of these segments.
Yeah.
He was nailing his shit. So props where props are due. Amen, Kyle. Treasures. So back to Charlotte versus Bayley. Bayley out alone to prove to Charlotte that she can get it done without Sasha. They have a great match. And at the end, Bayley ends up getting Charlotte in the corner, getting her feet on the ropes so the ref can't see, and pinning Charlotte. I did not. And then Charlotte was left laughing afterwards, blood in her mouth, had gotten her mouth busted up and was laughing. A great image of Charlotte being like, oh my God, the little twit did it. She got me. God damn it.
Holding on to the ropes, all kinds of stuff.
And the commentary even said, when you're the dirtiest player in the game, you should know better than to get caught with these kinds of moves. Like you should expect that kind of thing. So what did you think about Charlotte losing here, man? Was this the right call?
That's a bonus episode. Like that's seriously, that question, should Charlotte have taken a loss here? I think at some point down the line, yes. I don't know if this is the time or the place, or if you should have blown that outside of a pay-per-view. So I'm torn on that side of it. On the other side, I'm trying to see the positives that this does for Bayley. And Man, I'm not there yet.
I got you, boo.
Okay.
Here you go.
All right.
So Charlotte losing here. Charlotte doesn't need to win this. She didn't get beat clean. She got beat dirty. So she's somewhat protected. She didn't lose her title. Okay. Charlotte wins here. We're all bitching about how Charlotte always wins all the time. She's going all these different programs and, never losing. So this is actually that's a good thing to have Charlotte lose, especially in this fashion where she's somewhat protected. As far as Bayley's concerned, the story we're telling here is the eventual dissolving of her and Sasha, right? And it's happening very slowly. It's happening very slowly, like I said.
Yeah.
What's one of the things that would drive a wedge between the two of them? Bayley getting overconfident, Bayley getting cocky and saying, I can do it on my own. Look, I just beat Charlotte on my own. So that adds another layer into the Becky and Sasha story. Or Bayley and Sasha story. So in my opinion, this was the right call all around.
Yeah, I get that.
It makes Charlotte not look like an absolute, like she's going to come in and beat everybody on every show, right? Which is the perception that she needed to overcome here. So this helps that. So you're not always sure if Charlotte's always going to win. No, maybe she's not. So that helps Charlotte's perception. And this also helps Bayley, where you can say, okay, Bayley can get it done. And in Bayley's mind, she's going, I can get it done. Maybe I don't need Sasha.
Yeah.
So you are evolving that story.
Yeah, I'm on board.
All around, I thought this was a fantastic. It was great. And it was a great match too.
Yep.
So all around good stuff.
Loved the visual
right
of Charlotte laughing at the end with a bloody mouth and just, I can't believe that bitch got one over on me like that.
Yeah.
And
I know
you're
some
right.
people
It does
didn't
protect her in finishing in that way, her holding onto the ropes and tights and rolling her up that way. And yeah, it makes sense. I get it. It's not going to do any damage to Charlotte.
Yeah, I know some people didn't like the visual of her laughing, and I know some people don't like it when a performer acts nonchalant like that. But to me, that was so in line with her character, where she's like, I can afford this loss. I don't lose my championship. It's Bayley. We've gone back and forth for a long time. She's laughing at the fact that, God, this is the one person that kind of has my number. But she's also so confident. She knows it's an any given Sunday kind of thing.
Yep.
Like, I'll get her next time. So yeah, I didn't have any problem with it. We had what was supposed to be a culmination again. Dolph Ziggler and Sonya Deville versus Otis and Mandy. Mandy coming out looking like Daisy Duke in shorts that even Daisy Duke wouldn't wear because they were too short. I can hear your heart pounding from here, Nick. That's intimidating. That's scary. So here we again, though, at the end of it was a match. At the end again, Sonya takes out Mandy, pins her 1, 2, 3 again. So how long does this continue that Sonya keeps winning before this? Is this starting to get into a rut, Nick? One of the best stories on SmackDown. Is it starting to slow down? Do they need to add something else to it?
I'm interested.
Like the next chapter.
I'm interested what the next chapter is. We've reached the end of chapter 3. All right, we need to get to a climax of sorts. Let's get the money. Here's what I'm scared is going to happen. The Money in the Money in the Bank briefcase.
You're still thinking about manning those shorts, aren't you? You said climax. You're thinking about manning those shorts, and we're lost. We lose the show.
Listen, right? We're going to start losing listeners if we keep talking that way. If we have it now, I guess you guys are still all here. So between the toilet paper farting, anyway, the Money in the Bank briefcase is going to get involved in this somehow, I fear, and that's going to be what Dolph ends up stealing the Money in the Bank briefcase somehow, or Sonya does. And I don't know. The only thing that's at stake that we haven't talked about is Otis's briefcase. And I feel like that's what the ultimate culmination of this is going to be. Somebody's going to steal that briefcase from Otis. And because there's nowhere else for them to go. Sonya has now beaten Mandy twice. They've been in a mixed tag, and Dolph threw him into the stairs and then came in after the match was over and super kicked him in the face. Okay. Does Otis get what? Otis has had his win. Dolph just got his back. 50-50 booking. Rubber, where do we go next? It's got to involve the briefcase.
You think so?
I don't want that because it ultimately means Otis is losing the briefcase. But where else do you go? I don't know.
I don't know either. I feel like you said, we're at the end of something here, and they need to start the next chapter with them. They do. I'm also going to say this. I'm not mad at Sonya looking strong and winning. I'm not mad at that at all.
I said it in Discord last night. She's giving me, if you know your Lacuna Coil, she's giving me strong Christina Scabbia vibe in that. That and Broken Matt Hardy. Like she's raided Matt Hardy's closet.
She's giving me strong daddy vibes.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm saying. I'm not mad at that at all. Sonya Deville is daddy. The Intercontinental Championship, it's up for grabs because apparently Sami Zayn can't stay at home because you're not going to be punished if you don't work, but we will strip you of your titles and the extra money that comes with that. So here we are. I don't want to go off on a rant about that because I am pretty pissed about it. But we started off with AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura. AJ apparently getting drafted to SmackDown somehow because rules, logic, what is that? AJ Styles now on SmackDown and has a match against Nakamura. This used to be a dream match. Now it's just a match. It was a fine match, beautifully well worked, but nothing. It was just, it was just a match. Did you think this is a match to be remembered, or was it just like, hey, these guys are really good workers? Okay, moving on.
I don't know that I'm ever going to think about an AJ Nakamura match. What took away from this for me was the casual, nonchalant nature of the commentary. Cole just going, hey, Shin.
Yeah.
There's no excitement. Like, this is two of arguably the best workers of the last couple of decades. The two best wrestlers, maybe, of New Japan in the last decade. And I'm sitting here going, why is there no excitement around this? Is it because the fans are gone? Or is it the commentary? Or did we not build up to the fact that AJ Styles kind of snuck in the back door of this whole tournament is something that nobody is really talking about either, after he was buried alive to no real glory at WrestleMania. So why is there no pomp and circumstance for an AJ Styles and Nakamura match? That's what I don't understand.
They originally had one, right? The WrestleMania match, they built up and they kind of hinted at their history in New Japan. And ever since then, ever since they had kind of a lackluster feud, they're not giving a whole lot of love anymore. They're like, okay, cool. They had a 5-star match in the Tokyo Dome. Whoop-de-frickin-do. Now they're both just guys, right? And there's still a bit of that left in WWE where if it happened outside of WWE, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Right? And in WWE, these guys haven't really had anything that, lit any torches, basically. This didn't blow anyone's minds, their feud. So now it's just an opening match to an Intercontinental Championship tournament.
It was fantastically worked, as you would expect from these two guys.
Yeah.
It was beautiful to watch.
A little bit by the numbers.
Ultimately, great.
It was just
AJ
there.
Styles is going to face Elias. Yay.
Well, but the way it's looking, because we also had Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus in the main event. Jeff Hardy getting beaten down the entire time and sneaks one out at the end over Sheamus. Is what he does his entire career. The babyface underdog win. Sheamus is mad. Jeff Hardy's facing Daniel Bryan next week. So you have Jeff versus Daniel. You've got Elias versus AJ. I don't know about you, Nick, but if it isn't AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan in the finals, I'll be gobsmacked.
Yep, same.
I'll be gobsmacked and godsmacked.
And I'm here for that match, honestly.
Wow. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles in the finals for the Intercontinental Championship. Either one of those guys getting that belt, I'm cool with it.
Yep.
That's fine. That's good stuff. I almost for a second thought Sheamus was going to go through because they mentioned in this match how it's the one title he's never had. He's had everything except for that title. So at some point, I could see Sheamus going for it. There might even be Jeff Hardy sneaks one out over Daniel Bryan and wins the title, and then Sheamus Jeff Hardy is for the Intercontinental Championship.
I can make that work, yeah.
I could see that happening. But at the end of the day, you've got AJ Styles now on SmackDown, which is the one thing that kept me from saying he was going to win the Intercontinental Championship. Because before I was like, he's on Raw, he's not going to win it. They already have a championship over there.
And this wasn't a brand-to-brand thing. Michael Cole piped in very quickly and said, traded to SmackDown for a undisclosed or to be determined.
Yeah, right. We haven't written who they were.
Right. We haven't gotten that far yet. So we
don't plan things.
So now we're doing the brand to brand thing. Now we're trading people. Okay. It's just all iterations of the wild card stuff that drives me insane. If you're going to have separate rosters, have separate rosters. Stop letting the networks dictate who's going to be on what show.
Well, or at least have some goddamn consistency.
Yes,
If you're going to trade someone, make a deal out of it. Don't just be like, oh, you got traded. We'll tell you more about it later. No big deal. Don't pay no attention to the man behind that curtain.
Yeah.
And then finally on SmackDown, speaking of men behind the curtains, the Forgotten Sons had another promo. This time it was Steve Cutler cutting the promo. Again, they had the disclaimer before it saying the Forgotten Sons views are not those of WWE. But basically all he said was, hey, we're mad because we went and fought for our country and then people didn't like us, so now we're going to beat people up. That's basically what he said. And I was waiting for him to say something controversial, and he didn't. Nick, is this failing fast?
I've been saying this from the beginning. With apologies to Cutler and Blake, you guys are window dressing for Jackson Riker.
Oh, God damn it.
Listen. This is one of those situations.
How long are you going to ride this gimmick?
This is one of those situations where they've got it reversed. Normally, you've got a head guy with goons or enforcers, right? This is the one where the enforcers are sort of out front, and the dark horse in the back.
Yeah, this is one where the
unleashed.
enforcers are able to work and the main guy isn't, is what this is, Nick.
That's not been a problem in the past for other people. So just
big old heater Jackson Riker with his gigantic thighs.
Let me be clear.
Crush walnuts with those
We're
things.
going to see it at some point, guys. And you're all going to look back at Nick, and you've all been laughing at me this whole time. Jackson Riker is going to break out at some point and be the single superstar of the Forgotten Sons, and these guys are basically going to be Mercury and Noble. Because
this
promo was a perfect example of without Jackson.
His
did the
promo
one
last week wasn't that much better or anything.
But the way he was looking and the way he was talking was just so much more.
I'm not even. We got to get through this show. I'm not dealing with you. I'm not dealing with you and your Jackson Riker stuff this week. I'm not.
All right. Okay. All right.
Kyle over in the super chat, $4.99 again. Thank you very much, sir. He says, if Brian isn't IC champ, what is his direction without Gulak around? Great question. What's AJ's direction if he's not IC champ? Who knows? He just showed up on SmackDown. What's he going to do? I don't know, man. That is some big up in the air stuff.
Really good question.
Yeah.
The more I'm thinking about it, the more I think you might be onto something, Ian, with Jeff Hardy sneaking one out of here, winning the Intercontinental Championship. It is the most important title of his career outside of the tag championships runs that he had as the Hardy Boys. And then that would give some credence to the feud with Sheamus, because Sheamus, that's the one title he's missing for his Grand Slam.
Yeah.
It's all starting to work in my head, and I really think you're onto something with that.
Oh, God.
We're going to have Jeff Hardy go over both Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles, though, to get there.
Oh, okay. What have I done? I've sparked some Nick booking.
Yep. Thank you, Kyle, for the super chat.
Absolutely. And that was SmackDown, Nick.
Yes.
That was it. It was a lot of big matches, and so good stuff.
Yes. Well, we can't get out of here. Before we get out of here, we can't get out of here without doing what we like to call, or what was so dubbed by Mr. Sean Clark himself, the Mop Man, the moment of positivity. Mop, 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 mop.
The mop, the moment of positivity. That's right, Nick. It's the moment on this show where we try to say something nice, where we try to do something nice. We try to raise the spirits of everyone who listens to the show and tell everyone what the thing was that happened since our previous show that made us the happiest, that gave us those warm, fuzzy feelings, something positive, something nice to say. So bring some more niceness into this world. So say something nice, Nick. Say something that made you feel positive about the last few days in professional wrestling.
I almost started crying. I literally had water coming from my eyes laughing so hard earlier, so I could not say anything but a puppet as a roll of toilet paper farting as it spoke. It is the one thing that, listen, all joking aside, that made me laugh harder than I have in a long time, but my one moment of positivity was my own inner personal reaction that exploded out of me when Jake the Snake Roberts yanked that table out of the way across from Arn Anderson. And I had that, yes! Oh, we're going! I just had that moment where it's, holy shit, are they ever going to work again? We've seen Arn come in and spinebuster people, so why not? Yeah. So that was mine. Was Jake getting up and yanking the table out? Oh, they're gonna go. That was mine for sure. What about you?
I'm actually also going to go for Miz Morrison, because that was, I think, one of my highlights for the week was just Morrison running his mouth. That was hilarious. I had so much fun with that. That whole opening segment was just so much better than it had any right to be.
Right.
Yeah, that was mine. Simple, straightforward. Morrison running his mouth. Just the two of them, Miz and Morrison, just being hilarious, and Braun playing along with it. That was fantastic.
Yeah, Braun coming out laughing. I also like they've updated his Tron now to it's the big train, right? But they added something this week that it was either I hadn't noticed it before or they just added it this week. He's now hanging off the front of the locomotive in the Tron with his arm up, going, no! Just the Strowman Express. And I kind of dig it. I didn't get it with laser beams coming out, like it's Thomas the Train. It's got laser beams coming out of its eyes. It's awesome. I love Braun's new Tron. I think it's fantastic. Well, there you go, guys. There's our show. Let us know what your mops are in the chat or in the comments down below, or let us know over in the Facebook discussion group. But we're not done just yet.
Oh, God.
We've got time, just enough time for our other news lightning round. Beep, 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 beep.
Oh, man, I've kind of been dreading this all day. I'm not going to lie, Nick, because we've got to actually talk about something very tragic and very sad that happened, and it was almost the big news, but I did not want to start the show on a really down note. And I'm glad we just had our moment of positivity, because I'm going to need it to get through this. I actually, in my notes last night when I went to bed, I had it written that Hana Kimura, who is a fantastic women's wrestler who works for Stardom over in Japan, you may actually, if you watched Wrestle Kingdom this year, she was actually in the women's match on the pre-show, the women's tag match, which was a huge honor for her at the time. And last night she had been tweeting out some very scary things. She'd been tweeting out pictures of cuts she had made on her arm, some self-mutilation, and also some scary stuff, thoughts she was having. And the last thing that I saw before I went to bed was that someone had gone and found her and that she was okay. And I woke up this morning to the news that that was actually not the case and that she has actually passed away. And it has not been confirmed, but it's pretty much assumed that it was self-inflicted at the age of 22. And one of the reasons that this happened was because she was also on a reality show called Terrace Place. And there was an incident on that show a little while ago where one of her housemates absent-mindedly put her wrestling gear, the very wrestling gear that actually she wore to the Tokyo Dome show, in the dryer and ruined it. And she lost her temper and swatted his cap off of his head. And, regardless of whose fault it was, she apparently just got absolutely savaged online for this. And there was a lot of cyberbullying going on as a result of this. And actually, she's been getting cyberbullying for a while because of her physical appearance. One of the things that people would always pick on her for was having big shoulders, which I actually always thought was one of the coolest things about her, was she was kind of yoked for a little girl. Basically the current thought is that she was essentially cyberbullied to the point where she couldn't handle it anymore and took her own life. And this news has been, I mean, the number of people that have reached out online that have said things in support, saying how tragic this was is, dozens of wrestlers have already reached out and said she was, this wonderful person and brought light to any conversation and so on and so forth. And this is just tragic. And I want to throw our hats in that ring as well, Nick, and say that, this is a tragedy first and foremost, and incredibly sad. But also I am, even talking about this right now, I am virtually shaking with frustration because of the absolute bullshit that I perceive in social media and in online commentary, where people, can say whatever they want without consequence and hurt other people in this way. It makes me absolutely insane, Nick. And I'm gonna shoot it over to you because I'm getting to the point where I'm gonna say something I'm gonna regret if I keep going off on this.
Well, I definitely wanted to extend my my heartfelt condolences, and I wanted to say something else and break our own level of kayfabe that we have here on the show. There's a lot of joking around that we do here on the show. We make a lot of fun of Nia Jax. Ian makes a lot of fun of Jackson Riker. In a weird way, taken out of context, our own opinionated sort of commentary could be misconstrued as some level of cyberbullying. I want to own up to that. But I want to understand that there's a difference between what we do for the sake of entertainment for wrestling fans in an very innocent way versus some of the things that I've witnessed that take place on Twitter and other various forms of social media. And this is not the first time. I mean, by all accounts, everything I've read and known about Hana Kimura, she was the next Asuka. She was the next big up-and-comer.
Or Io Shirai, yes,
out of Joshi
absolutely.
Wrestling. She was the next big thing. And the fact that there was some reality show and there were a bunch of various social media threats. And the scary part about this is that I'm hearing a lot of the other female wrestlers from around the world go, oh, yeah, this happens all day, every day. This is not like some grand revelation.
Not even females. Joey Ryan tweeted out that, he was like, I don't know how she was supposed to deal with this at 22. I can barely deal with it now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's an endemic to social media, and it's all over the place. And it's cover your kids' ears, because here's the thing. I want to say to anybody who's listening to the show, if you're the sort of person that's going to go out there and say something just with the intention of hurting somebody online without thought, if you're going to go out there and be a dick like that, don't listen to our fucking show.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
I don't need you to listen to the show. I don't want you to listen to the show. It makes me insane. Every one of us at some point has gotten some sort of snap back from social media, whether it's someone on Facebook or someone on Twitter, and it never feels good. But Nick, I know you haven't, I know I haven't ever received the kind of abuse online that some of these people that are more famous, that put themselves out there into the spotlight. We've never received something like that.
Just from
Nate. And I like
he's not with us anymore.
I like to think that wasn't that bad. That wasn't even that bad. Like, this is the thing.
We've been called the Fox News of wrestling podcasts. And I take it in stride. I've got very thick skin, right?
I am a pretty blonde woman, so that explains why they thought that.
Right, but at the same exactly with huge boobs. But the thing that bothers me about this the most is that a week from now we're going to move on. A week from now there'll be another bullying thing that happens. A week from now there'll be another thing, and another, and another, and another. And Twitter continues to do nothing about it. Facebook continues to do nothing about it. That's really the root cause here. There's absolutely
the lack of accountability. Yeah, exactly. It exists because of the lack of accountability. And again, we're a wrestling show. Like, I don't want to go down the whole rabbit hole any more than we already have of trying to, be social justice warriors for the online community. But just, guys, if you're listening to our show,
don't be a dick.
Nick, don't be a dick. That's Nick's number one rule.
Be a good person.
Tell someone that you know today that you care about them.
Yeah.
Go out there and instead of, saying that someone's got big shoulders or that they're a horrible person for hitting someone's hat off their head, why don't you go out there and tell someone, that the things they do that are good.
And there's also a little bit of Japanese culture, I think, that comes into this, in the sense that they can be very nasty to women. This
is something that goes beyond a single culture, though, Nick. And
I know what I'm speaking of, and people that know of that know what I'm speaking of. But it was exacerbated, I think, by that. There's
ugly shit in every culture, and there's ugly shit in almost every culture towards women and towards minorities and towards everybody. Like, everyone has seen this. So that's what I'm saying to everybody out there. Please,
just don't be a dick.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Be excellent to each other. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Let's move on. Actually, one more kind of kind of sad thing with the happy ending on it. Obviously, Shad Gaspard passed away early this week. They actually they did find his body on Venice Beach a couple of days ago, so he is confirmed to have passed away from swimming in the ocean just down the street from me. But they started a GoFundMe for his family. One of the contributions was for $10,000 from Tony Khan, owner of AEW. So shout out to Tony Khan. And everyone else who's paying into Shad Gaspard's.
Other people have done it, and from Kyle from Line Drive, there was a pseudo anonymous from CTC for $40,000.
Woof.
Who it's rumored to potentially be John Cena. So
wow.
We'll see. Well, the other thing I can say, reported last night from both Ryan Satin and Brian Alvarez, over 500 people showed up to the memorial for Shad.
Yeah.
Down at the beach, and that's just that is a tribute. I've seen the guys over at What Culture that have interacted with him all week had an outpouring. He was a big part of their WrestleMania presence last year. Shad Gaspard made a huge impression on the wrestling community. Hell, Dave Bautista made a YouTube. Dave doesn't do shit really except tweet. Normally he never goes out. He made a YouTube video and put up.
He hits on Dana Brooke, but no, I know what you mean.
You know my point, right?
I do.
Even it couldn't have happened to a better human being, and that's what makes this really, really hard. This
is what's particularly tough is we did have, it always goes in threes, right? Larry Sonka, Hana Kimura, and Shad Gaspard, all three, and three people that you'd have a hard time finding people to say a sideways word about. So it's a rough week. But we've got to move on, Nick, and there's a couple more news items I've got to get to on this show, and then we got to go do the mailbag show, and then we got to do Double or Nothing. So let's move on over really quickly. After all of that, I know it seems somewhat insignificant, but it's news. The ratings came out as well for AEW this week, 701,000 with a 0.26 in the 18 to 49 demo. NXT dropping drastically down to 512,000 with a 0.13, half.
Oh no.
Half. Ouch of what AEW. So AEW went up for their go home show, and NXT dropping precipitously.
NXT's going back to the network soon, man.
They
can't
the
sustain
lowest.
That.
I think it's the second lowest or the first lowest they've had since they've been on TV. I know, Dog Ziggler. It's scary and it's tragic. I know you love NXT. Don't worry. It's part of this is everything that's going on right now in the world. It'll get back to normal. I promise. They'll be back on their feet. They'll book better, boy. I promise. He's upset. He can't stand the fact that the title picture is so muddled over there on NXT.
I know.
And I can't blame him.
I know.
You mentioned a couple times during the show that Cody had his call about AEW this week, giving out some information. You mentioned that 90% of Double or Nothing was planned prior to the pandemic. He also said that they're not going to be leaving Jacksonville for the foreseeable future. They're going to be at Daly's Place. It's working out well. They've got a rhythm going. But as soon as they know in the next couple of weeks when they're going to reschedule some of their dates, they will let us know. He has not seen the TNT Championship belt. He has no idea what it looks like. He knows that the champion will not be ranked. So you will not be someone who is going for the main title. So you'll be taken out of the rankings as the other champion is as well. Wins and losses won't matter towards your overall score. But he does also say that it's unknown in general how exactly they will be handling that in terms of where the champion stands in the company. He doesn't want it to be known as a mid-card belt. He wants it to be another separate whole thing. But how that works, we've yet to find out. He says as far as testing for their employees, it is done off-site. So you don't go there and get tested. You get tested somewhere else. But if they did have a positive test, it would not shut down production.
The way he put it was that they're tested before they're able to enter the building, and then as he's coming down the hallway to go into the general area, production area, they're temperature tested. And if they have a certain temperature, they're taken back off site, or they're not even allowed to come into the building. So it's sort of a two-gated process for them to even be able to get into the building before they ever get into a wrestling ring.
Yeah, considering how many people they have ringside, I hope that they're being pretty thorough with that.
Yep.
And finally, he said that Mike Tyson was at the Double or Nothing show last year in Las Vegas, and that he brings a different kind of prestige to this match, and I could not agree more.
I agree.
Brody Lee, speaking of guys from AEW, he had an interview with SE Scoops. He said that maybe you could be looking for Rowan in Japan, maybe look for him in AEW. So he said that he started off, they weren't that close. Now they're really good friends, and somehow they keep finding each other through each other's careers. So speculation on where Rowan is going next. Start throwing it out there. Dark Side of the Ring debuted the Death of Owen Hart episode. As if this week wasn't rough enough, we got to dredge up all the Owen stuff. It was a really interesting watch and made me think quite differently about the whole lawsuit with Martha Hart. It was the highest ratings in Dark Side of the Ring history. Not terribly surprising given the subject matter.
Yep.
On Backstage, Ember Moon was interviewed and talked about her ankle and said that it may be career-ending.
Yeah.
She's not sure yet. Ankle injuries, you never know. You may never get your mobility back correctly. But she's at a point now where she feels like she doesn't know if she'll ever be able to work in the ring again. And that's scary. And it's tragic, especially for someone as talented as Ember Moon. Hopefully it's just a bad time in her rehab and things will turn around and she will surprise us with an amazing comeback. So fingers crossed for Ember. Ric Flair has re-signed with WWE. Shocker. Especially because he has a 24 special coming on June 7th at 10 a.m. Eastern. And if you're watching in your house, the NXT pay-per-view, it'll be airing after that as well. 24 covering Ric Flair. There was some speculation he might go to AEW, but he said, nope, he's 100% WWE loyal, which it's Ric Flair. I'd take that at face value, but he will go where they pay him, and WWE going to pay that man. So I don't know if you saw the video of Buff Bagwell. He's been doing cameos. But on his last few cameos, his face was all busted up. He had a huge welt on his cheek under his eye, and he looked like hell.
Has he been out shoot fighting, or what is he doing?
I have no. People are speculating, what the hell's going on with Buff Bagwell? Is he back to being a gigolo, and some husband came home and found him and beat him up? Like, what happened? What happened, Buff? We're worried about you. He was kind of slurring a little bit, so people are now trying to get to the bottom of what's going on with Buff Bagwell, if he's okay or not. But, yeah, so if you have any information about why Buff is looking a little buffed up in the face, please send it on over.
Yeah.
So next Tuesday, Impact is having its #1 contenders match for Tessa Blanchard's title. It's going to be it's the semifinals. You got Michael Elgin versus Trey Miguel and Ace Austin versus Hernandez. That's this coming Tuesday. Also the North versus the Deaners and Jessica Havoc versus Kimber Lee. Speaking of Kimber Lee, she just got married to Zachary Wentz. One half of the Rascals. They got married this last week, so congratulations to them. And speaking of people getting together, Nick, I'm afraid I've got some bad news for you.
What's that?
Tony Storm and Juice Robinson were spotted together in Japan. She posted a picture of it on her Instagram, including a little heart. And the rumor is that Tony Storm and Juice Robinson are dating. What happened, Nick? We thought you and Tony just got back together after you dumped Anna Jay like a scumbag. Dumped her in the dirt. Go back to your girl Tony. And now Tony Pierce has left you for Juice Robinson. My goodness, Nick, what's going on with you and Tony?
I posted it in the group, but this is all a ploy. Tony is trying to get back at me for
understandably
for leaving her for Anna temporarily.
Understandably.
And if she wants to play this game with Juice Robinson, I can too. I posted a picture in the group. Like I can post a picture with Juice Robinson too, Tony.
You two looked very happy.
We were having a good time, right?
Yeah.
You
and Juice make a gorgeous couple. I'm not gonna lie.
Not nearly as gorgeous as the picture of me and Tanahashi, but that's another conversation.
But that's Tanahashi. That's not you.
Tanahashi makes me question my own sexuality. Listen,
well, apparently Juice does too. So
no, listen, I can play this game too, Tony. We don't have to do this online. We don't have to do this on social media. We can let's call me. Let's just talk about it, okay? I know this is all just a ruse just to get back at me. It's fine. It's fine. Just everything's fine, guys. Just take it at face with a grain of salt.
Can we now say that you and Tony are both dating Juice Robinson? Is that the real revelation here?
Well, let's just say I've already had him.
What?
We'll leave it at that.
Okay, this is getting really weird.
I got a picture
really quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, that was our show for the day. We'll leave you with that horrifying image in your minds. Nick and Juice making sweet man love. But we will leave you with that, ladies and gentlemen. But please come, if you're watching us right now live on YouTube, please stick around, even despite that horrific image, and come back. We got our mailbag show right after this. And of course, then we're going to go straight over to Discord and have our live stream for Double or Nothing, followed by a recap show of Double or Nothing. My goodness, we got the works today, Nick.
Whew. Oh god,
keep your boy Juice in your mind, because you got a reward at the end of the tunnel, like a big juicy carrot.
No, I wasn't trying to imply that Juice and I ever had a relationship or are in a relationship. Much like Tony and Juice are not really in a relationship. This is all just a ploy to get back at me for what I did a few months ago. But listen, everything is fine. It's all a big gag. Don't take it seriously. Everything's fine between me and Tony. We talk once every
Are we
other
still
month
on
or
it,
so.
Nick? We've got to get going here.
You left it with questioning if I had a sexual relationship with Juice Robinson. I want to be clear, I have not.
Methinks the lady doth protest too much here, Nick.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. Right. You and Juice make a gorgeous couple.
Thank you. I appreciate
your beard
that.
and his hair. It's like it combines well.
It's a very hairy relationship. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Obviously.
Well, there's our show, guys. We will be back with our patron mailbag immediately after this. Don't go anywhere. Refresh. You'll find the news stream over there on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/bustedwideopen. Make sure you subscribe and got those notifications turned on, because on Monday we start BWO Daily, our daily news show where we will bring you the hottest news of the day in professional wrestling and sports entertainment. And we'll begin to weed out some of all of these other news things out of our main shows to make things a little bit more streamlined as we go forward. But make sure you're subscribed here to the channel, because it will exclusively be on YouTube. It will not be live, but it will be on YouTube. You can also follow us over on Twitter and Instagram at BWO Podcast. Come join us in the Facebook group. Just search for Busted Wide Open. You'll find our page and our group there. Make sure you're in the Discord for the live chat for Double or Nothing tonight. We'll be starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific with the buy-in kickoff show. You do not want to miss the casino ladder match and all of the other good stuff coming there, so make sure you get started at 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll be watching that together starting at 7 in Discord. And last but certainly not least, a big shout out to all of our patrons. Thank you, phenomenal ones, for all of your support every single month. If you guys would like to get in on some of those exclusive rewards, head over to patreon.com/BWO. Sign up for one of those reward tiers where you can get access to the show notes, all kinds of good rewards, bonus episodes, Skype calls with me and Ian Dangerous, producer segments, all kinds of good stuff. But we got to get the hell out of here, because we got a lot of wrestling to talk about, and we got to go answer all your patron questions.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Please come join us for that. But my name is Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at DataCenterDude.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Sir Ian Dangerous.
But by God, would somebody stop the damn match?
This show is part of the Orbital Jigsaw Network. For more episodes, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. For details and show notes from each episode, check us out, orbitaljigsaw.com.